Jesus Christ. You know, this is why we got to start the show at a specific time in our conversation. Good
Nah,
evening.
we should have like a record the pregame stuff and
Oh, play it only on Rumble?
or put it on your Patreon or something.
Oh, there you go.
It's fucking A.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monkey in the Morning. I'm your host, the Ranting Monkey. He's Jack. Say hello, Jack.
Hi, everybody.
Oh man. Yeah, sometimes you guys just miss out, and it sucks, but it's the way it's got to be.
Sometimes we say stuff that you can't put on the air too.
Yeah, definitely can't put on the air. How you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm all right. How you doing?
No real complaints. I woke up today. My hips felt like, prom queen the next day, but otherwise good.
Well, they say the hips don't lie, so
Yeah,
I learned that from a sage named Shakira.
My hips are mad as shit. I just got to do more walking. I'm trying to get more active, and I've been doing a lot, Jack, but yesterday was just a lot of walking. So, you know what? I think it's time for another Rumble exclusive. I should point out, Rumble, you guys are awesome. We are up to 902 followers over there, Jack.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe.
That's all word of mouth from you guys, and really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's face it, when we inevitably get kicked off of YouTube, that's where we're going to be.
That's where we're going to be. Without one of those Rumble exclusive deals. I'd like one of those.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That'd be nice. Give us $1 million to come exclusively stream over there, and we'll be there, for a little while. So,
have a more interesting show than some of the people that got exclusive deals.
We would have a much more interesting show.
Yeah, and funnier than Crowder.
And no videos coming out of us being incredibly ridiculously rude to our wives while they're pregnant.
Mostly because I'm not married.
And because I don't treat my wife that way. Fuck.
No shit. Like, I'm going to be an asshole. Oh, you might have a reaction to some medication. Put some gloves on, bitch. Woo! Fuck off, narcissist.
All right, Jack, we got a couple of little stories, and then we are going to watch a shitload of Congress.
Nice.
We're not watching all of it because that congressional hearing today was like over 5 hours.
Yeah.
Ain't no fucking way I'm watching it again. Good evening, Nuts. How are you, sweetheart? So let's see. Where do I want to start? I mean, there's not much. There's not much I want to talk about. I do want to talk about this story. Bud Light. Man, they've taken a hit, Jack. They used to be the number one selling beer in America. Do you know what they are right now?
What, number 12?
14.
Yeah. No
they
worries.
Are down to 14. Apparently, Costco is cutting them off as well, so that'll bring them down even further. But I wanted to talk about this Yahoo News story that came out. I don't know where it's originally from. Benzinga. Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
anyway.
They're not that good.
Bud Light plummets to 14th place among beers as Anheuser-Busch CEO pleads for consumers to think of the 65,000 employees impacted by the boycott. I don't even care.
You should have thought of that first.
Yeah, I don't even care about these first couple of things. I just want to go to this. Anheuser-Busch CEO Brendan Whitworth has taken full responsibility. Have you seen him come out and go, "This is all my fault"? Nope. I hadn't seen that yet.
Me either.
Has taken full responsibility for the controversial promotion involving transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney that caused sales to plummet. In an interview with CBS, Whitworth emphasized that he is ultimately accountable for the actions of the company, expressing concern for the people whose livelihoods depend on Anheuser-Busch. It is the impact, honestly, of the employees that weighs the most on me, he said. Whitworth called on people not to punish the workforce, but rather to attribute blame to him. He made it clear he made it clear that he acknowledges the repercussions of the promotion and urged consumers to continue supporting Bud Light. You're still the CEO, right?
You notice he didn't say anything when other places got canceled. But look, instead of just people not buying your shit, they actively tried to destroy people like Mike Lindell and MyPillow, which just laid off a bunch of people and is selling off equipment now.
Look, it kind of sucks that these people are going to lose their jobs. Luckily, there's 13 other breweries that are selling better that they might be able to go get a job at.
Yeah.
But it is
You know
not
what?
my fault that you fucked up.
Yeah. And if I don't want to buy your crappy piss water beer, that's on you. That's your dumbass marketing mistake. That if it's such ultimately your fault, maybe you should resign.
If if this was a different person who came in, like what's his name, Brendan, that's probably part of the problem. Brendan here, he's like, you know what, I fucked up. I'm gonna step down. And this was a different CEO coming up, like, hey, it was Brendan's fault. He's gone. We've replaced the people that were in the, and we'd like you to give us another chance. All right. I could at least see the argument then. But this is this guy going, I fucked up. Please don't hold my company responsible. It's going to make people lose their jobs. Well, make a better company, shithead. Jack, we've told him how to make a better commercial for this.
Yep, several times.
And what they do instead? They came out with that lame ass, everybody tripping over themselves as they try to drink a beer. Basically, an old, hey, look, they're drunk falling on themselves bit from whatever TV show you want to name that had alcohol on it.
Yeah.
But no, instead of coming out and like, promo, yeah, go get them. You know what I would have done? Honestly, I would have had nothing but frat boys drinking the beer.
Yeah, well, you could easily make parodies of this with a bunch of frat boys, and it ends up being like, lambda kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
But they're not that smart. They don't know their own customer base, and the marketing departments are way out of touch with normal people, so they can't do commercials like that. The closest they came, that shit they did release, they honestly thought that was more in line. Yeah. I really believe that they thought that was Americana right there, because they had to hit all the diversity quotas and all the other bullshit still. Instead of just putting something that would actually appeal to their market base, they have no concept of what their market base actually is anymore. They're like, this is middle America, right here. This tepid, boring shit that works, right? That's what they like out there in the sticks.
If they had done the tepid, boring shit first and not the Dylan Mulvaney at all, nobody would have cared. It would have just been like, and they'd have been fine. They're still dropping market share because they don't know how to appeal to their base.
Yep.
But if that had been all they did, no big deal. The problem is the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Dylan Mulvaney, even if you're all pro-trans as you can get, Jack, Dylan Mulvaney is a fucking parody. This guy is a caricature. He should not be embraced as anything other than a fucking shame.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is a bad case of agenda-driven people running a company. They don't know what to do, and they can't get past their own agenda because they still trying to work it in. They're like, well, we can still appeal to them a little bit, right? No, look, that's not your market. Stay in your lane, guys. Really, it's not that fucking hard.
How the fuck do you hire somebody as your advertising executive in Bud Light who believes having frat guys as part of your core audience is a bad thing?
Because they're that out of touch at the company. They're like, well, this woke thing's big, right? We gotta go with that. Because they don't understand their own base.
That would be like stopping your advertising for like the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. And instead pouring all of your advertising money into the Oscars.
Or the WNBA, where nobody's watching.
Well, at least the WNBA is sports, right?
Yeah.
At least that's still sports, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like the Tony Awards or something. I get what you're
saying. The Tonys. Oh, that is such a better example. Yes, the Tonys. Instead of doing the Super Bowl, all of your ad budget, you're making Clydesdale commercials where they're going up and getting an award, right? That's not who drinks your fucking beer, dumbasses.
Yep. But I think they're that out of touch. They've hired too many of these
I'm so
stupid Tumblr college grads that have no idea what they're actually supposed to be selling or to who.
I'm
It's
so
like that.
jealous that you brought up the Tonys instead, because that's the perfect example.
I know, right?
It makes my argument so much better, and I fucked it up.
No, you didn't fuck it up. You just how often do you actually think of the Tonys?
Not very often, but
See?
still. And you know what? That kind of makes the point, doesn't it?
Exactly. But it they're just, I think, this out of touch. They're hiring all these young people that'll work cheap, and they bring in all these goofy ideas that aren't selling and historically are stupid. And a lot of companies can still pull off sales. This one, they pissed off their core audience, who happens to be middle American working class people and frat boys.
And frat
The
boys.
frat boys don't want to look gay, and the people in middle America will drop the F-bomb faster than you can blink and be like, nope, not drinking that. So they did this to themselves. Same with Target. You alienate too much of your core audience. This is the kind of blowback you can get. And there have been plenty of other companies that have done this throughout history that have changed just a little too much and destroyed their own company. This is just very public.
I forget who it was, but we saw this just the other day. We're like, don't punish the workers. I forget which one it was. This has become their new thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, don't punish the workers that we're shitty at running the company. Yeah, it sucks, man. I would hate to have my job dependent on Brendan there.
Yeah.
Because clearly you're fucked.
Yeah, you make bad life choices. Yeah, JCPenney's did this, and so did Sears, Michael. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They did adapt to the times. It's just sometimes your market model just doesn't work anymore.
Well, and I just want to say, because there's a slight difference with like JCPenney's and them. They didn't adapt to the changing world. These people are trying to force a changing world on us. Similar concept. They're in the wrong time frame. But in this case, it was, instead of them just, Blockbuster's another one. Blockbuster should have got in and taken over Netflix. We might eventually see this with Walmart, with how Amazon is going, right?
Yeah.
Although Walmart has really stepped up their game on the online.
Yeah. Oh, I bought a great weed whacker and blower set off their website for like $130. In the store, it's $298.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. I was having a lot of fun with it the other day.
We've seen lots of companies get left behind before, but we're moving to a point where these guys are trying to jump ahead.
Yeah, and it's you can't jump past your audience.
No.
Maybe you could lure in some people from the LGBT crowd, but you can't just cut to the chase. There's no shortcuts. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get it all, and you can't do that.
I just want to talk about this real quick. Michiru in chat is talking about how different animals will chase laser pointers. I didn't know this until 4th of July weekend when the kids were up. We found out that my daughter's dog will chase a laser pointer.
Oh yeah, it's not very often dogs do that because they're like, meh.
I've never seen it before, but his big ass trying to chase a laser pointer was funny as shit. All right, Jack. Unless you had more to say, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but unless you have more on that.
They did this to themselves, and
100%.
Surprising that people actually did push back on this, and I'm glad, because I've been seeing Bud Light and Budweiser stacks at every store I've been to. They are not selling worth a damn.
I just want to check in on Pearly real quick, Jack.
Oh God,
because she said this. It's better to mentally accept that your husband may cheat and you're willing to work through it than mentally believe it's the worst thing ever. Infidelity is one of the leading causes of divorce. These things can and should be worked through. You can read my response right there if you're looking at the screen. I sincerely hope she gets married. And I sincerely hope that her husband sleeps with everybody but her.
Wow.
This has become a red pill thing where it's like, accept that your man will cheat. You don't have to accept that. If you do work through it, I think that can be great. But this whole, no, he's gonna cheat. You should not accept that of men. That should not be something we're saying, hey, men, it's just normal that you cheat. Fuck you. Have some goddamn self-control.
Yeah.
Have some self-control. Don't sit there and teach, hey, men have to do all this. You can't say no. You can't say no to some strange. Now, I get it, Jack, if she's not putting out. All right. I can see that. It's been 6 months. She's like, nah, I got a headache. Every fucking night, some chick at work's like, hey, I get that. But that's not what we're normally talking about. We're talking about guys who are just fucking douchebags. Oh, by the way, women do it too.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
And usually the cheating is for some emotional reason for both. It's not usually just the sex. It's fairly rare that it's actually just sex.
Have higher expectations of men, for fuck's sake.
And of yourself.
God damn. No, just everybody cheats. God, you're fucking dirty. Bob Iger will remain at the helm of Walt Disney through 2026, according to Variety, which is strange, Jack, because we heard he was just coming in temporarily to clean things up and probably only be there a year or two.
Well, that's always what they say, but I don't know why they went back to Bob Iger. He's the one that got them in most of this mess.
But at the time, see, this happens a lot in both business and politics. You'll have somebody who's in a position of power at a crest, and you don't see the fall off they cause because they go away. You know, they retire, they leave office, whatever it is. And so they don't get the blame for the bullshit that they did. And so Bobby leaves when they're still riding kind of high before, you know, your gay cartoon movie that I can't even think of the name of because it was so bad. Before your Black Little Mermaid with the fetal alcohol syndrome. So he rides that crest there, Jack.
Yeah.
Without them realizing, this was all he was fucking doing in the first place. Strange Worlds, is that the name of that fucking is that the one with the gay little son running around after his dad and look, Dad, I got a gay boyfriend.
Yeah, and then they got the new one, which is equally shitty, called Elemental.
Oh, that's the one I keep forgetting they even made. Shit, yeah.
Apparently so have all the paying audiences.
But yeah, before you have this massive wave of wokey shit, which was all approved by Bob. These are computer-generated movies, Jack. Those take a long time to make.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Those take years. But yeah, Bobby's in there until 2026 at least now. So look forward to stay really crappy there at the Disney.
Yeah.
Anything you want to bring up before we get to the main story?
Two things. One, it's something we keep forgetting to go over. That guy that raped the child that got the abortion in Indiana, remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he got a life sentence.
He did.
So he's going to go away for a while. Otherwise, I really only have like one major story that I wanted to cover.
What you got?
Let's link there.
That's my loading Jack's links music. I know it sounds like all the other music. It's slightly different. There's a little bit of a tonal shift.
Faithless. They took the girl from Ohio into Indiana to get the abortion, but the actual crime occurred in Ohio.
A state of fugitive. Fuck you. A state of fugitive Antifa gunman who killed Portland Trump supporter sues police.
I mean, did you expect anything else?
This is the asshole piece of shit who told us he walked up on a Trump supporter, shot him point blank in the chest because he was protecting black people. His black friend is actually what he told us. His black friend who wasn't there. That shit is on video. Nearly 3 years after Antifa member Michael Forrest Reynal, I forget how to say his name, was killed by police while being arrested for murdering 39-year-old Trump supporter Aaron Danielson, his estate has filed a lawsuit against law enforcement and government agencies alleging their only plan that day was to use deadly force. I'm be honest with you. If that were the case, I'm probably okay with it.
Yeah, he's an Antifa commie shitbag. So, I mean, is he really even
Uh,
human at that point? Plus, he gunned a
you,
man down in basically what was an assassination.
yeah, I was gonna say you forgot one word there. Confessed murderer.
Yeah.
Reinhold, 48, had been on the run for 5 days when he was shot multiple times by officers on September 3rd, 2020, while in his vehicle outside an apartment complex in Lacey, Washington. Authorities claimed he had reached for something, presumably a gun, before they discharged their weapons. Federal lawsuit filed Tuesday claims Ryan Reno, shitbags, Fourth Amendment's rights were violated and seek compensation for his death. Fuck off. I don't really give a shit about him. They'll probably settle this.
Sadly.
They'll probably settle it, give him a couple $1 million.
Because the mayor's a pussy.
4 officers who fired 40 shots during the attempted. Do you know how quick 4 people can fire 40 shots?
Yeah, a few seconds. It's not like one person shot and then was like, okay, next.
Right.
You know.
What Fourth Amendment right? Due process would be what they're complaining about. And look, in all seriousness, if they went there with the purpose of killing him, then yeah, that's wrong. And those officers should be in jail. But that's not what happened. This guy was a murderous shitbag. He'd been saying that he wasn't going to allow him to arrest them, didn't he?
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to go to jail.
He could have turned himself in. He didn't do that either. This guy, and then the Antifa people, they came out and like, he didn't even do nothing. Really?
That's because they don't think that he did anything wrong. And they fully support his actions of assassinating a guy who wasn't expecting anything, who was doing nothing wrong.
Walking down the street.
Yeah, that's not a crime. But he was planning violence on my black friends. No, he wasn't, you fucking idiot.
The guy was leaving some kind of rally, right?
Yeah, Danielson. It was like a Patriot Prayer.
Yeah.
Something like that. It wasn't even like a real rally. It was like a religious thing.
And he was just walking down the street on his way home. And this motherfucker strolls up. Doesn't he come out from behind a car?
Oh, he was behind like a barricade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And pops up and shoots him point blank in the chest. Was it twice?
I believe so.
Yeah. He's a fucking dirty, degenerate murderer, and I'm glad he's dead. But again, if the police did go there specifically to kill him, you kind of have a point that it's a Fourth Amendment violation.
Yeah, I'm not buying that though. That they didn't go in guns blazing like that. They easily could have killed him a lot sooner if that were the case.
Easier too.
Yeah. So I think this is bullshit. This is a cash grab by a bunch of fucking evil commies that want to kind of bury the fact this guy was a blatant homicidal maniac who murdered somebody because of their political beliefs, which would probably make him a terrorist. So, fuck these people. I hope they don't get a penny. And I hope the victim's family, Danielson's family, sues the shit out of this family for all of the estate's value if they do get any settlement.
Indeed. All right, Jack, since you bring up terrorism, it's a good time to switch to our main story of the evening. The FIB, and yes, I wrote it that way on purpose on the old thumbnail there. Christopher Wray was up in front of Congress today, Jack.
Yeah. Oh my God, this was enraging.
Now, I'm going to bring you through it how I got to it. I wake up today, and this is the first tweet I see. I really shouldn't be following this Krasensteins. I got to stop that. It's going to give me a fucking heart attack. Since many within the GOP wanted to create conspiracy theories in order to attack the FBI, I thought today would be appropriate to remember these FBI agents who lost their lives in the last 2 years. Nobody's happy with FBI agents getting murdered, okay? But that has literally nothing to do with the FBI being a shitty fucking organization.
Yeah. They've gone way past their original intentions, and they've committed quite a few crimes recently.
The FBI is not perfect. They screw up sometimes. Christopher Wray, who is a lifelong Republican appointed as a director by Trump, also is not perfect. With that said, the vast majority of the 35,000 FBI agents, along with Director Wray, work each day to protect our nation and our citizens.
I don't believe that.
It's one thing to call them out for their wrongs, but another thing to create conspiracy theories in order to try and undermine their efforts to protect us.
Oh, this is such horse shit. First of all, the FBI is spying on Americans.
Yep.
Treating parents at school board meetings like domestic terrorists.
Yep.
They can all fuck right off. If you're one of the good ones, you should quit your fucking job and get a job somewhere else. I don't trust anybody in the FBI. Fuck all of them.
This made me go, what the fuck? Why is he talking about Ray? So I looked up Ray. Oh, he's up on the Hill today.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, just to address Brian there real fast. There is rot within the FBI. Deep rot within the FBI. We know this. We've seen countless things. It's not conspiracy theories to point out things like them eavesdropping when they're not supposed to. Yep. Something that's going to come up in here, Jack, 3 million FISA applications from the FBI. 3.5 million. Depending on which source you use, between 200,000 and 1 million of them were wrongly submitted. That's not a minor amount.
Well, that's just what the courts decided was wrongly submitted. I imagine that quite a few that went through shouldn't have.
Oh, well, that's what 1 million of them, between 200,000 and 1 million, should not have gone through at all because the FBI lied or got their information incorrect on their applications.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's probably triple that shouldn't have gone through. But the judge looked the other way or whatever, or just didn't get caught and for lying or whatever. But they've been doing this shit since the 60s when they were spying on hippie groups. Except they didn't even bother with Warren Said. They were just spying on people.
It is amazing to me how the Democrats have become so pro-police so quickly.
Well, they're pro-federal police. They don't give a fuck about the locals.
Well, they didn't used to be for the feds either. I mean, they used to... the FBI famously was spying on Martin Luther King.
Yeah. Well, it's because they've infiltrated this organization along with several others in the Department of Justice, and they basically control them. So it's their brown shirt wing now. So of course they're okay with it.
But this is going to come up repeatedly in the thing too. Brian hits on it there. Appointed by Trump. That doesn't mean that he supports Trump or that he's not dirty as fuck. How is it that anytime there's a Republican that doesn't like Trump, suddenly they're like, but Trump liked him at one time? Most people who Trump had appointed, say like, I don't know, the Supreme Court. Do you see them all up there going, oh, they're obviously on the up and up. Trump got him up there. But since it's something they want to hear, sure, that makes yeah. They're good people. Trump appointed them.
Yeah. Just because Trump appointed them doesn't mean I have to defend them. Real quick, before we get too far into this, it's a good time to tell everybody to hit the like button, share it on your social media, subscribe if you haven't, ring the bell for notifications if you're on YouTube. And if you're feeling generous, you can toss us a couple bucks at our Streamlabs links, which are going through the chat and in the description of both videos.
Okay, all we've missed so far in the video, you can see it's almost 5 minutes in. It's them all getting set. Then they do the Pledge of Allegiance, and that's where we are. I was going to listen to the opening statements, Jack, if you don't mind. Even if you do, I'm going to do it. I'll just feel a little bad about it. A little bit. We're not watching all 5 hours and 46 minutes of this. I'll also say that when I watched this, I watched it on Fox. It was their feed. Mm-hmm. This is the CNBC feed, the Fox feed. For some reason, the the audio's out of sync now. I don't know why.
Deep fakes.
But even with our choppy ass video that the audience is going to see, I cannot sit here and watch people talk and their voice not match.
Yeah, that kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah, I can't do the dubbing thing. So anyway, here we go.
Chair now recognizes himself for an opening statement. 8 days ago on July 4th in the Western District of Louisiana, the court found that the federal government suppressed Americans' First Amendment free speech rights.
This is a case we talked about, Missouri versus Biden. It's Missouri, Louisiana, and then a handful of other people, including, I think, somebody from the Gateway Pundit, if I remember correctly. But that's the case he's talking about, just for context.
In his conclusion on page 154, the court said this, the judge said this: plaintiffs are likely to succeed on the merits in establishing that the government has used its power to silence the opposition. Opposition to COVID-19 vaccines, opposition to COVID-19 mask and lockdowns, opposition to the lab leak theory of COVID-19, opposition to the validity of the 2020 election, opposition to President Biden's policies, statements that the Hunter Biden laptop was true, and opposition to policies of the government officials in power.
All right, I want to pause there too, because if you read this decision, that gets repeated over and over again, including in a section specifically about the FBI.
Yeah.
So while I named off all of these different defendants, the FBI, the judge goes through entity by entity, including the White House, the CDC, the FBI. So it does get repeated in each section that, yeah, it's likely to be to win on merit. I don't know why my brain just went.
But you've been around Biden too much. Can we turn it up just a hair?
That's as loud as it goes.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All were suppressed. It is quite telling that each example or category of suppressed speech was conservative in nature. The court further writes,
I want to point that out too, because that does get said over and over in that case. But the judge also says that it's not just about conservative, that it should worry everybody. Because just because it's happening to conservatives now doesn't mean it won't happen to Anna Kasparian. Oh, by the way, Jack, as always, if you need me to pause at any moment, just say so.
Okay.
The United States government seems to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian ministry of truth.
Yep.
Specific to the FBI, the court said this: the FBI's failure to alert social media companies that the Biden laptop story was real and not Russian disinformation is particularly troubling.
Especially because it was the FBI who put out the idea that there was going to be this massive Russian attack to help somebody in the election. Yeah. This is the part that always gets buried in this conversation. It's like, but the social media companies didn't have to listen to them. Come on, it's coming from the FBI. The FBI comes and tells you to do something. Yeah, you can give them the finger if you want to. Good luck.
Yeah, enjoy your new tax audit. Real quick, thank you, Evolved Potato. In the photo that Brian posted, 4 died from toxic exposure from 9/11 recovery efforts. 1 died from traveling to a training exercise. 3 more died in vehicle accidents, and the other 2 were from actually doing their jobs. It seems a little padded for a point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
I didn't even realize that, but yeah, makes sense. The 2 guys Ray had sitting behind him, I think, were there for intimidation. You mean the ones with the fucking earpieces you could see? Because he needs like Secret Service protection, apparently.
Well, they have their own security details and whatever. Yeah, it was totally intimidation. Like, look at my goons.
He was in the fucking house, man. He was fine. Anyway, yeah, let's just continue.
The FBI had the laptop in their possession since December 2019 and had warned social media companies repeatedly to look out for, quote, hack and dump operation by the Russians prior to the 2020 election. Even after Facebook specifically asked whether the laptop story was Russian disinformation, the FBI refused to comment.
We can't comment on that because then you guys would let it be played.
Yeah.
It cannot be understated how much that the laptop story and them calling it Russian disinformation, how much that impacted the election. Remember, Jack, we're supposed to be allowed to talk about election stuff now, but the one that I will keep beating because I've done it the whole time and we've been all right so far is that there was absolutely collusion between the press, parts of our government, and the Biden campaign.
Oh, absolutely.
There just was.
Resulting in social media companies' suppression of this story. And as a result, millions of our fellow citizens did not hear the story prior to the November 3rd, 2020 election.
And polls show that many of them would have changed their vote based on it. That's also just true.
Additionally, the FBI was included in industry meetings, bilateral meetings, received and forwarded alleged misinformation to social media companies, and actually misled companies in regard to the laptop story.
Yep.
When the court says the FBI misled, that's a nice way of saying they
Lied.
They lied, and as a result, important information was kept from we the people days before the most important election we have, election of President of the United States, election of the Commander-in-Chief. In a survey last fall, 4 out of 5 Americans said they believe there's a two-tiered system of justice in America today. They said that because there is.
I've seen a thing lately, Jack, that I actually agree with. There's a 3-tier system of justice. There's what the rich people get, then there's what the average people get, and then there's what the poor get.
Yeah.
And I agree with that because, yeah, poor people get fucked a lot because they can't fight it. Good luck with your public defender.
Yeah, who's probably got 300 other cases.
Yep. But I get his point that he's going for. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
They said that because of what they've witnessed.
I can't help myself, Jack.
Think about what Americans have seen. National School Board Association, left-wing political group, writes the White House and asks them to treat parents at school board meetings as terrorists. And the Garland Justice Department does just that. They put together a memo, set up a dedicated line of threat communication, a snitch line on parents. As a result, parents get investigated by our FBI, get a threat tag associated with their name, 25 of them, because whistleblowers came and told us we're investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Remember this because Ray's going to lie about it later. And bless you. Was that you?
No, it must have been on the video. I was muted.
It? Okay, fair enough. All right, here we go.
You.
No, it wasn't me. I'm much louder than that.
To us?
Maybe. Fucking feds.
Americans have seen the FBI's Richmond field office put together a memorandum saying...
Before we get to Richmond field office, one of the dirtiest in the country.
Pro-life Catholics are extremists. They've seen 20 FBI agents, SWAT team members, show up at the home of Mark Houck and arrest him in front of his wife and 7 children, even though he had indicated he'd be happy to turn himself in. And what was he arrested for? Him and his 12-year-old son were praying outside an abortion facility. Some guy starts screaming in his son's face, and he did what frankly any dad would do, defended his child.
And what's not brought up here, and I just want to stop it and say so, is that not only did this happen, the pushing this up to a federal issue should have never happened.
No, of course not, but the feds won't prove a point. This is intimidation.
There is a law, Jack, about how much or how close you can be to an abortion clinic when there's any kind of kerfuffle. And they were past it. They were down on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
They were not in front of the abortion clinic when it happened. So this shouldn't even have been put. This should have at most, if this was going to be charged, been a simple assault in the local jurisdiction. Period.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you don't get to intimidate a bunch of religious people or anti-abortionists that way.
Right.
You need to send the message that you will go to scary pound me in the ass prison if you do these things that we don't like praying or fighting back, defending yourself against our friends. That's the message that's being sent here.
Yep. The guy left the clinic grounds and said vulgar stuff to his kid. Yeah, he's lucky he didn't get punched. He just got pushed.
Yeah.
And they were the FBI comes in with a fucking SWAT team to get this guy.
Oh, of course. Yeah, they got to go heavy to send the message. This is North Korean intimidation tactics.
Yep.
This is nothing new. It's been done since the Stasi and probably the Germans before that. Not just the Russian secret police, but yeah, it's an old tactic and one that's been intimidating people for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So they knew what they were doing, and they don't care because there's nobody going to do anything. This is all fucking talk. They're not going to punish anybody, and Christopher Wray fucking knows that.
What's interesting is the National School Board Association apologized for the letter, but the Attorney General refuses to rescind his directive. The FBI did rescind, thank goodness, the Richmond Catholic Memorandum, but they refuse to tell Congress who wrote it and who approved it. And Mr. Houck,
We'll get to that
when he
later.
got his day in court, he was acquitted by a jury of his peers. American speech is censored. Parents are called terrorists. Catholics are called radicals. And I haven't even talked about the spying that took place of a presidential campaign or the raiding of a former president's home. But maybe what's more frightening is what happens if you come forward and tell Congress. If you're a whistleblower, come tell the legislature, come tell the Congress what's going on. Look out.
Yeah.
You will be retaliated against. Ask Garrett O'Boyle.
Before we get to this, do you remember all this stuff about, retaliation against Vindman?
Yep.
And nobody had retaliated against him. Their version of retaliation was that people in the press guessed who they were talking about. Retaliation, he's a whistleblower. You can't retaliate against him at all.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Strzok and that whore he was fucking.
Mm-hmm. But with some of these people coming forward with stuff on the FBI, there's some in here, Jack, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it's disturbing.
Oh, it's horrifying. But, this is the world that we live in because Congress won't do its job and rein these people in. There's absolutely no consequence for violation of civil rights anymore. The FBI might as well be running the country.
The problem is, and look, I'm not trying to give Congress any out here, but they can't do anything. Their only option would be to cut funding because they don't control the Justice Department, which frankly shouldn't even fucking exist. They have no recourse to do anything here. And this is what the FBI knows. This is something, Jack, in the past, maybe you had some people push some boundaries, but people understood, okay, this is what we do. But not anymore. Mm-hmm. They know there's nothing going to happen to them because nothing can. As long as the AG is Merrick Garland, what's going to happen? As long as the AG is anybody who's been pulled from the pool of shitbags, and that includes Barr, nothing's going to happen because they're all from the same incestuous shithole pile that they're pulling from.
Yeah. The whole system is corrupted with people that are like-minded and don't give a fuck about the Bill of Rights. It's nothing's going to happen, and Congress is too pussified to cut the funding.
Wray could get impeached by these guys, but it's just going to go to the Senate where they'll be like, nah.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. I don't think that they have the fortitude to do it in the first place, but even if they did, nothing happens.
Yeah. Yep. We need somebody in charge that's going to actually do the job and gut these agencies, but they're not going to because they're a bunch of pussies, and half of them are corrupt as shit anyway. So
I think you're being generous with half.
Yeah, I think I am too, actually.
All right, here we go.
We told Congress about these issues. Took his clearance, they took his pay, they took his kids' clothes. Ask Gary Shapley, 14-year veteran at the IRS, handled some of the biggest international tax fraud cases at the agency. He comes forward, and the Justice Department kicks him off the case. But here's what's truly unbelievable. Here's what's amazing. With all that history, with all that, the Justice Department, the FBI, want the taxpayers they censored, the parents they labeled, pro-life Catholics they called radical. They want them to pay for a new FBI headquarters.
Yep.
And they want FISA reauthorization of the 702 program in its current form. It's in the director's opening statement. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
You
There are
can, but nobody believe it.
204,000 reasons why Republicans will oppose FISA reauthorization in its current form. 204,000 times the FBI improperly searched the 702 database. And unlike the FBI censorship, in the court's opinion, that was focused on conservatives, the FBI's illegal scrutiny wasn't just limited to conservatives. BLM supporters were illegally scrutinized by the FBI as well. And I hope our Democrat friends will join us in opposing reauthorization of Section 702 the way it's currently done.
It shouldn't be a thing anyway. You shouldn't have secret courts.
Nope, we shouldn't. I want to say this.
Exactly what happens. Corruption.
Of all of the people who came up here today, you know who I was most impressed with? Jayapal.
Really?
And I cannot believe I'm saying that.
I can't either. Who are you?
She comes up here, and we'll get to her in a little while, but everybody else is on the side I expect them on, except her. She is a Democrat who goes up there and she's like, you guys are being dirty. What's being done about it?
Nothing.
She's the only one. Now, I do want to say I did not watch the entire thing. I missed like the last hour. So maybe one of the very junior guys did too. But all of the rest of them were where I expected them to be. And of course, the Democrats just sucking Ray's wiener the whole time he's here. Speaking of which, it's almost time for Chet to speak. I gotta do my deep breathing.
Yeah, because this is just a bundle of lies.
This fucking fat piece of shit. All right.
And I think they will. And I hope they will work with us in the appropriations process to stop the weaponization of the government against the American people.
They're not going to.
In this double standard that exists now in our justice system. That I yield to the gentleman from New York for an opening statement.
Come on, fatty.
Mr. Chairman, not that long ago, an oversight hearing of the FBI in this committee would have been a relatively bipartisan exercise.
That right there really pissed me off. This should be bipartisan. It's one of the reasons Jayapal did impress me today.
Yeah.
All of you should be up there going, what the fuck is going on at the FBI? Even if you don't believe in getting rid of it or defunding it, fine. What the fuck is going on? And instead, you guys are up here defending these shitbags from things they won't even defend themselves from.
Yeah, they don't need to, because they're not going to get in trouble either way. They can lie to Congress all fucking day. They know Merrick Garland has their backs.
All right.
My colleagues on both sides of the aisle would have asked legitimate questions about the functioning and mission of the Bureau. Some of the questions may have been tough. Debate may have gotten a little heated when we discussed important topics like privacy and discrimination. But our questioning would have been grounded in advancing and overseeing the FBI's dual missions of enforcing federal laws and countering national security threats on American soil. In short, despite our disagreements, we would have done our duty as members of the Judiciary Committee.
And now he's going to go up here and tell us how bad the Republicans are. Sir, everything that you just said could still happen if you guys weren't sucking this guy's wiener because he's helping defend the president currently and went after the former president.
Yeah, but they don't care about the fact that the FBI went after these people because it's their opposition. That's the problem with people like Nadler is Nadler is just a bipartisan hack. He doesn't give a shit about any of his enemies, or partisan, rather. I can't fucking talk.
I mean, one of the things that gets talked about in this is the Richmond field office and this memo that gets written calling Catholics crazies, basically. And the chairman there, Jim Jordan, he's like, Why can't we talk to who wrote this? That's an oversight thing, Jack. Why
Yeah.
can't we talk to the people who wrote this? Why can't we talk to who approved this? You, Mr. Nadler, as the ranking member, should be on board with that. You should be like, yeah,
Right.
what kind of fucking shit's going on here? And instead, go ahead.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you because they don't have to. What are you going to do about it? Huh? What are you going to do?
No, and I hear you, but he's making this fucking argument that, oh, we used to be so much more on the same page and asking the tough questions. Ask the tough questions, shithead. Nobody's stopping you.
No, they don't need to because this is not the appropriate venue. These people are defending us, monkey,
Right.
from those evil parents and Catholics.
Meanwhile, this is the exact venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people like Nadler cannot admit that there's something wrong because, well, the revolution, man, you don't want to criticize the revolution.
The funny part is when it comes to the nomination of Wray, because he came from Trump, they were all over the fucker. But now he's like perfect.
Yeah, because he's doing their dirty work.
Yeah, exactly. Which they knew when he was getting nominated that he would anyway. But here we go.
Of course.
Today, unfortunately, House Republicans will fall well short of that mark. For them, this hearing is little more than performance art. It is an elaborate show designed with only two purposes in mind: to protect Donald Trump from the consequences of his actions and to return him to the White House in the next election. Don't take my word for it. Chairman Jordan announced his plan last August, just days after the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago. He told an audience at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, that the investigation into Trump's wrongdoing was designed to, quote, help frame up the 2024 race, when I hope and I think President Trump is going to run again. And we need to make sure that he wins.
Yeah, he's talking about voting and campaigning, you fucking fat piece of shit.
Yeah, at a political rally. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. It's Toad.
Unlike
Toad.
Unlike, say, Strzok, who's like, we're going to make sure he loses, and actually has the ability to do things like, sway social media companies.
Yeah, and spy on people.
What the only thing Jim can do is hold hearings, you fat fuck.
Yeah, hearings that have no real bearing on anything, and nobody will be held in contempt for.
Let me repeat that. We need to make sure that he wins. In pursuit of this goal,
Wait.
Chairman Jordan.
Have you ever heard of anybody supporting a political candidate and been like, we got to make sure he loses?
Or I'd kind of like him to win, but whatever.
He's trying to make that such a big deal. I want to repeat. We need to make sure he wins. Yeah, fucker, it's the candidate he supports. I fucking hate these people.
And committee Republicans have claimed for months that the FBI is corrupt, rotten,
They are.
politicized, and their favorite word, weaponized against the American people.
True story.
Chairman Jordan has launched an array of baseless investigations into the FBI, most premised on
How you know they're baseless?
He listened to them all the FBI recordings they had on Jim's phone.
It's going to be mentioned later, but there was a deposition that was done recently. You know who didn't show up? It was a deposition for this committee. Fat man on the screen right there didn't even show up.
Of course not.
But they're baseless because Trump sucks.
Antifa's a myth.
absurd conspiracy theories. Some so absurd that the chairman cannot possibly believe them to be true.
Like what?
But this is where the extreme MAGA
Oh, there
leadership
we
of
go.
this Congress has brought us today. Today, House Republicans will attack the FBI for having had the audacity to treat Donald Trump like any other citizen.
Has Donald Trump been treated like Hunter Biden?
No, well, Hunter Biden's no ordinary citizen, good sir. He is the best person that Joe knows. Also, Jordan was talking about spying on parents and stuff like that. I didn't hear him mention Trump.
No, he didn't.
I'm sure it'll come up, but yeah, you're not really addressing his points, fatty.
Thank you, Keldrig. Everything the FBI does deserves to be scrutinized. Indeed. Don't forget, guys, we are brought to you by you. You can donate and hit the like button and tell your friends, your family, bitch you hate. But we're gonna watch Fatty.
The strategy is simple, really. When in doubt, Chairman Jordan investigates the investigators. The FBI dared to hold Trump accountable, so Republicans must discredit the FBI at all costs. You will hear
There are a couple people who talk about the Trump thing. Most do not. Most of the criticism that you're going to hear from the Republicans is about other things. But that doesn't stop the Democrat. They lie like this all the fucking time.
Yeah.
If everybody, I mean, did Jordan even bring up Trump? He said that's not to mention the rating of a former president. That's the only mention that it was.
Yeah.
He mentioned the school boards. He mentioned the Catholic memo. He mentioned the whistleblowers being punished. Well, all they're going to have is Trump. You're a dick. A lying dick. Anyhow.
Here claims today that the FBI's decision to investigate Donald Trump was somehow unfair. You will hear that the Republicans attack the indictment of former President Trump on 37 counts related to his gross mishandling of national security information, including information regarding defense and weapons capabilities of both the United States and foreign countries.
That's not
the
what
United
happened.
States nuclear programs.
Nope.
Potential vulnerabilities of the United States and its allies to military attack.
Nonsense.
And plans for possible retaliation in response to a foreign attack.
Plans of a possible retaliation of a foreign attack that happened several years ago. Not like it was Jack, this isn't like this memo was, okay, it's very possible that China might attack us one day, and here's how we're going to respond. It was very specific to the time. Now, you can still make the argument he shouldn't have had it, and that's fine if that's what you want to argue. But this is nonsense. He's framing it as though it put us in danger. Fuck you. When did Nadler morph into Penguin? He's actually Chet from the old movie Weird Science. And as such, he can just kind of morph into different positions because he's made out of shit.
Yeah, he's a little toad monster.
The facts are made clear in the indictment. Quote, the unauthorized disclosure of these classified documents would put at risk the national security of the United States, foreign relations, the safety of the United States military, and human
I'm sorry,
source.
I got to do it again. What he's talking about right here is the part of the indictment that they're going to have the absolute worst time trying to prove because they are stretching the what is it, the Foreign Intelligence Act or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're stretching the shit out of it. And it's what Jack Smith was brought in to do. Very much like, what's that fucking idiot in New York's name? Is it Vance?
No.
Oh, fuck, I can't remember his name. But he had to stretch the law to get his indictment through. It's all made up. Anyhow, sorry, I'll let him talk. Damn it.
And the continued viability of sensitive intelligence collection methods.
You're a liar.
Close quote. Indeed, the indictment
Bragg,
goes on
thank
to
you.
describe how the former president made such unauthorized disclosures, with him boasting about and showing his classified documents to numerous individuals without proper security clearance.
Nope. One individual.
Yeah, he talked about it, but I don't remember anybody saying that he actually showed it to them.
The reporter that was writing the book, he did show it to them.
Oh, okay.
That's one person to numerous people. One, you fat lying fuck.
One guy that was neurodivergent had 300 personalities.
Yeah, DID. That's what it was. You're right.
Yeah, all those alters. Oh, that's crazy.
It seems today that this indictment against Trump was unfair, maybe even that it was unlawful.
It was unlawful.
You'll hear that the FBI should have just asked Trump a little more nicely, one more time, to hand over the documents. You'll hear that the case was a political investigation from the start, orchestrated by a liberal-loving FBI that ensured Trump would be wrongfully vilified at every turn.
True story. Where's the lie there?
Yeah.
These claims, of course, are completely untethered from the evidence.
Which
Even
evidence?
if you believe, as Chairman Jordan
Never
claims,
mind.
that President Trump has committed no crime, surely we can agree that it is dangerous and profoundly irresponsible to have taken these documents from the White House and left them unsecured in Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, like Biden did with his Corvette?
Right? How do you walk into that? If Mar-a-Lago, and this comes up a few times, but where the president was, so there's Secret Service there, if that is an unsecured location, what about a senator and then vice president who shouldn't even have had this information putting it in his fucking garage?
Yeah, or Obama putting everything in some like old storefront and just leaving it there.
God.
Again, don't take just my word for it.
I wouldn't.
Trump's Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, said that the former president's handling of this information put U.S. service members' lives and their national security at risk. And Trump's handpicked Attorney General Bill Barr, with whom I agree on very little, hit the nail on the head when he described the former president's legal troubles as, quote, entirely of his own making. He had no right to those documents. The government tried for over a year, quietly and with respect, to get them back, and he jerked them around. When he faced a subpoena, he didn't raise any legal arguments. He engaged in a course of deceitful conduct. That was a clear crime if those allegations are true, close quote. The former president could have, at any time for months, simply returned the documents and avoided prosecution.
He returned everything they asked for.
Yep.
They even packed this stuff for him.
Yep. But don't pay attention to that, Jack. We're not supposed to pay any attention to that. The Presidential Records Act also says that the president gets to deem what is a presidential record and what is a personal record.
Yep.
Pay no attention to that either. Pay no attention to the fact that the government had all these documents as well. These are copies. These aren't originals, except for things like the letter from Kim Jong-un that suddenly they're no longer talking about that one. That was a big deal at first.
Yeah, I don't get why. I mean, it was like,
a personal letter.
I love Rue.
But yeah, these documents, it's not like they don't have them so they can preserve them anyway.
Not want to talk about any.
Because remember, the whole reason for the Presidential Records Act, it's not so you and I have a record for the rest of our lives to go see what Donald Trump was doing. It's in response to Richard Nixon being a fucking dirty piece of shit and refusing to turn over records that proved he was a dirty piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's what it was about. Anyway.
Of that. They seem incapable of assigning any agency or responsibility to Donald Trump for problems that are Trump's and Trump's alone.
Yeah,
Right
just
here
like
today
those
about
Catholics. By the extension of his logic, those Catholics shouldn't have been Catholic.
Right.
Because that's their own doing.
Well, you'll notice so far, Jack, he hasn't addressed anything other than Trump.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I figured that would be the case because Nadler's a toady little piece of trash. And they're obsessed with Trump. They don't care who gets walked on because those are just little people. They don't care about the plebs. They care about Trump.
Orange man bad.
Yep.
And named Stephen D'Antuono, the former special agent in charge of the Washington field office during the investigation into the documents. Last month, committee Republicans brought him in for an interview, and shortly after that, Chairman Jordan released a letter purporting to describe Mr. D'Antuono's testimony. In fact,
he could have went in and listened to this testimony, but his fat ass didn't.
No, why would he want to do that?
Jim Jordan, he released this that purported to say what the testimony was.
In fact, Chairman Jordan's summary of Mr. D'Antuono's words are a vast mischaracterization of what he actually said. Here's just one example. Chairman Jordan has claimed that Mr. D'Antuono said he had, quote, no idea, unquote, why the Mar-a-Lago investigation was run out of the FBI's Washington field office instead of the Miami field office. What the chairman hides is that just seconds later, Mr. D'Antuono explained that, quote, the venue was here, meaning Washington, D.C., for the classified documents, that it was, quote, not out of the ordinary for Washington to be lead office running the investigation, and said that Washington has, quote, most experience and knowledge in working public corruption cases and are, quote, the experts.
What Nadler's not going to tell you here is that while it's true, Jack, it used to be a thing where Washington would just take over. There was a directive that came down, I want to say 2 years ago, because of all the nonsense that's been going on with how they investigate, like Trump, where that's not supposed to happen anymore. It's supposed to be out of the field office where the case originates. It should have been out of Mar-a-Lago, at Florida office down there.
Yeah, the Miami one.
Yeah, but
because that's where Mar-a-Lago is in that region.
In classified document investigations, Mr. Jordan did not share the full record with the American public because it does not fit his chosen narrative. My staff has worked to have a minimally redacted version of Mr. D'Antuono's full testimony released. I urge you to read the words for yourself in their entirety. When you compare his actual words to Mr. Jordan's characterization, you'll understand why I feel like this hearing room has become a theater. And frankly, that goes for many things that we will hear from the Republicans today. You can expect to hear that the FBI is retaliating against its conservative employees and has a deep-seated conspiracy to support liberal candidates and ideology. These claims are based on the words of several individuals, people Republicans are somewhat laughably calling whistleblowers.
It's also based on things like the White House helping a teachers association write a letter demanding that the Justice Department go investigate parents for daring to stand up for their children at school board meetings, and the head of the Justice Department going, yeah, we're going to do that, sending out a memo saying, yeah, we're going to do that, and the FBI then spying on parents.
Yep. We dodged a real bullet by not letting Merrick Garland become a Supreme Court justice.
Absolutely.
Because if he's doing this shit as the head of the DOJ, imagine the damage he could do to the country as a justice.
What a petty twat, man.
Yeah. And this, I think a lot of this stuff is revenge for him not getting to be a Supreme Court justice.
Absolutely is. All right. Sorry.
In fact, evidence shows that these individuals were suspended for violating serious FBI policies.
Which ones?
One provided an unauthorized interview to Russian state-owned media. Another leaked.
It is. Now, I have a question, Mr. Nadler. When did they do this? Was it before or after they became whistleblowers? When did you guys decide that that they needed to be suspended?
As soon as they started spilling the secrets.
Yeah, you guys. Anyway.
Information about an ongoing investigation, placing FBI agents and witnesses at risk. And another said that he wanted to use a senior FBI official as, quote, target practice. Chairman Jordan invited some of these so-called whistleblowers to testify before the Weaponization Subcommittee in May. As it turns out, two of the witnesses were ultimately paid $250,000 each for their testimony. Money raised in part by former Trump aide Kash Patel and paid via a check whose memo line reads, quote, for holding the line.
That's going to come up later. One of the guys who supposedly got this $250,000 payment was watching this and tweeted about it, and it becomes part of the hearing here later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that Marvin guy?
I
something
don't
about this.
I don't remember which one it is, but he says bullshit. They may have wrote that check, but I never cashed any check. Anyhow.
And yet Republicans today will try to claim that it is the FBI, not these witnesses, who are somehow corrupt. Republicans today will also attack President Biden, starting with the IRS investigation into Hunter Biden. They will ignore the fact.
Wait. The IRS investigation into Hunter Biden. What about the FBI investigation? There should be at least 3.
Yeah.
At least.
I would put air quotes around the word investigation in all 3 of those cases.
That U.S. Attorney David Weiss had the authority to bring charges in any district he thought fit and was able to operate fully free of interference. They do not want to acknowledge that despite years of investigations, President Biden has not been found to have engaged in any wrongdoing.
Where are those investigations, sir?
Where's the file right next to the Bigfoot ones in the Epstein client list?
Where's the investigation of President Biden getting paid by the Chinese government when he was vice president? Where's it at?
let's face it, that's probably still ongoing.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Instead, they'll try to convince you that Hunter Biden would have been charged with far more serious crimes had it not been for U.S. Attorney Weiss being blocked by the Biden political machine.
It's true.
Once
Well,
again,
hang
when
on.
they do not-
Time out. I don't even think necessarily that Biden stepped in here. I think they're just on his side.
Oh, I was going to say he shuffled in.
He's showing.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Leave my kid alone. I got to go sniff that grandchild I don't claim.
Thank you, Cass One. Despite years of investigation, Trump was found to have done no wrongdoing, and yet, that this hearing. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting so much because this is going to take us fucking forever, but it's amazing the shit that comes up in here.
Well,
like
look,
the
show me
outcome?
the man, I'll show you the crime. Also, real quick, thank you, Evolved Potato. Does anyone else feel like they need to punch something when Nadler speaks? All the time. Just his voice is so annoying. Yeah, because he's like a little gremlin, but not like a fun gremlin that is like out looking for food and gold, but like one that's like, let me tell you all my problems. Ew. The way he...
Go ahead.
The way he speaks down to you like you're a child and him blatantly lying to everyone. He's a real piece of shit. Oh, yeah, he's Chet. Of course he is. Yep. Yeah, he's a garbage person, and he absolutely is super annoying.
I'm going to just disagree slightly because I watch a lot of Congress, and as bad as he is, we're going to see Eric Swalwell later.
Oh, God.
And Nadler is so easy to take if you've watched that fucking piece of shit talk ever. Ted Lieu is on this as well.
Oh, I fucking hate Ted Lieu. He's so dumb. I don't know why you talk to that guy because he is a fucking retard.
Let me give you some of the people who'll be talking. Hank Johnson.
Oh, is Guam flipping over?
Yep. Ted Lieu. Sheila Jackson Lee. Swalwell, of course. Who else is on this fucking committee? It's like they brought their dumbest people.
Of course they did. Did you see Sheila Jackson Lee say that she was a beneficiary of affirmative action?
Yeah.
Stupid bitch. Before we get going, thank you, Keldrick. Oh, I see his mistake. He said Biden and not Trump has been cleared of years of investigation. An easy mistake to make. Yeah, well, Biden's don't do anything wrong. It's a family legacy. It's in their on their coat of arms.
Investigate the investigators and work to discredit the outcome. And Republicans will make false claims about the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, claiming that it is somehow censoring conservatives. In fact, the task force plays a key role in making sure that Russia, China, Iran, and other foreign entities cannot again interfere in our elections.
Odd how many Americans that they caught up in that Russian disinformation. How many verifiably American people were caught up in that shit as it was keeping us safe?
Yeah, but those were peons. They don't count as real people.
According to committee...
somebody asked Chuck Schumer. Chucky is a senator. This is in the House.
Republicans, the task force's efforts to track and prevent foreign influence operations amount to attacks on conservative speech. A nonsensical claim, considering that the Foreign Influence Task Force has nothing to do with censoring American free speech, and in fact, helps to ensure that American voices are heard by stopping Russian troll farms.
Unless you read that the case Missouri versus Biden.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, in making these claims, Republicans have all but rolled out the red carpet and begged Russia to once again interfere in our elections.
Thank you, Frosted Glass. Most of Nadler's weight is in his 47th chromosome.
Because they believe that doing so will get Trump reelected in 2024. And that is the goal of Republicans today. Republican claims that the FBI has been weaponized, their personal attacks on Director Wray, their repeated calls to, quote, to defund the FBI, these are not victimless acts.
They're not victimless.
They're a clarion call to anti-government extremists, and that call is being heard. Last year, Director Wray faced multiple credible death threats.
There we go.
FBI employees faced more threats in the months after the Mar-a-Lago search than they had in the entire prior year. The problem has
Um,
gotten
Boo fucking who?
Why-
Don't work against the American freedoms and this won't happen, you stupid motherfuckers. Also, a bunch of people on the internet going, "I don't like you," is not a threat. People that are serious are going to do. They're not going to talk. So shut the fuck up, you whiny bitches. You sound like TikTok girls.
Why is this always their thing?
Because
Oh
they
my
get
God.
victim points.
People were mean to us. Dylan Mulvaney, who we talked about just a little bit earlier in the show, had to leave the United States, guys, because of the Budweiser thing. Because threats. None of these threats. Look, if there's people that are actually out there threatening the FBI, I feel like the FBI should be able to, take care of that on their own.
Yeah, it's almost like they have some kind of law enforcement background.
Uh-huh. And instead, what they're doing is like, look how it's scurry. It's scurry, you guys. Meanwhile, they will downplay the guy who went to Kavanaugh's house. It's funny how anything the Republicans do is stochastic terrorism. That's what he's describing here. You see, if you say something, you're going to cause terrorism against Director Wray. I don't want anybody to hurt Director Wray. I want him fired, and I want the FBI dismantled. You don't have to hurt anybody to do that.
No. I would also say he should be in jail.
But it's never the other way around. There have been credible threats against former President Trump.
Oh, yeah.
This guy just spent 5 minutes doing nothing but blasting Trump, but that's not going to cause any issues.
No, that's okay because he's the enemy of democracy.
The left believes that if you say anything bad about them, it's going to cause all this horrible terrorism. But it's okay to say whatever you want about the right, including calling people murderers, child abusers, whatever you want, anything. All right, come on, dickhead, finish up.
It's so bad that FBI has
talk
had to
too
stand
much.
up an entire new unit dedicated to combating threats to FBI agents and staff.
They didn't have to do that.
It is far
No, they
past
did.
time that Republicans
They could have easily just said, okay, Bill, look into this.
Yeah, but no, this is more of the weaponization of government. Oh, we get so many threats, we have to start investigating you.
Yep.
You might make a threat. You're
You
on
bastard.
the wrong websites. You watch the wrong people.
realize the consequences of their actions. Republicans may want to downplay Trump's behavior and blame the FBI for his downfall. But no matter what they say, Trump risked the safety and security of the United States to remove those documents.
Let me ask you this, Jack. If saying the FBI conducted an illegal raid is going to cause somebody to make threats against Director Wray, what is it going to do to say that the former president of the United States, put the entire country in danger with these documents?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter because they don't like that orange man. Remember when they were saying he had nuclear codes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's not trying to get him a mob whipped up against him.
No.
Ooh.
And of the two, which group, liberal or conservative, is more likely to go out there and have a giant mob that's unruly for, say, 6 months at a time?
Oh, that'd be the left. But that's a
Okay.
myth, Monkey. So those people aren't real.
It's an idea.
Yeah, they're an idea.
They're an idea.
From the White House, then lied to the government. Attempts to shield him from the consequences
Has nothing to
of his
do
own
with this
actions
fucking oversight hearing, you
transparent
shitbag.
and despicable. Ultimately, no matter how many times Republicans attack
You just
Director Wray
mispronounced despicable.
or the
Yes.
Oh,
FBI or the investigation at Mar-a-Lago, I trust in the rule of law. Mr. Trump will have his day in court. I believe the system will hold him accountable. And I thank the men and women of the FBI who helped bring the classified information to safety and protect the national security of our nation. Thank you for being here.
Odd you didn't mention them doing it from Biden's house.
yeah. Or the
Today,
fact that
Director
largely kept quiet, or the Steele dossier. or
I know why
anything
he
like that.
didn't do it. Because if he mentioned Biden, then that would be stochastic terrorism.
Oh yeah.
Right. You can't bring that up because it would make people mad at Biden.
I think that'd be more like shuffleboard terrorism.
Ray?
Hey, shuffleboard's fun.
It can be, but I mean, you can't really be stochastic against somebody that, first of all, doesn't remember or understand anything you just said, and he shuffles along like he's going to play shuffleboard at the old folks' home. So, yeah, that's my term, shuffleboard terrorism. It's when you are mad at old people.
Eagle says I actually like shuffleboard. Shuffleboard is fun. If you guys have never played it,
Fucking awesome.
I hope your
curling
agents will
without
not be
ice.
disheartened by
Yes.
what they hear today and will continue this kind of work essential to the safety of our nation. I thank the chairman and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Just for the record, the pronunciation of the former assistant director in charge of the Washington field office is D'Antuono, something that ranking member might have known if he'd actually shown up at the deposition like I did.
I love that line.
That was a cheap shot, but it's funny.
I laughed so hard. I was actually playing Diablo 4 as I was listening to this, and I got killed because of that line. All right.
With that, without objection, all other opening statements will be included in the record. We will now introduce today's witnesses. The Honorable Christopher Wray has been the director of the FBI since 2017. He previously served as Assistant Attorney General, Associate
We can go
Director.
ahead.
Thank him for appearing in this. Before you're about to let the they will be in. You like Director? For you. So again, thank you for being here, Director Wray. You are recognized for your opening statement.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Nadler, members of the committee. In the time that I have,
C-SPAN wasn't doing this for some reason, so the camera is rarely on Ray like it would normally be. C-SPAN does a very good job of jumping back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to Ray's answers, a lot of times we're not going to see him. Sorry, guys. Just the way it was recorded.
before we get to your questions, I want to talk about the sheer breadth and impact of the work the FBI's 38,000 employees are doing each and every day.
I thought it was
Because the
30.
work
Okay.
the men and women of the FBI do to protect the American people goes way beyond the one organizations that seem to capture all the headlines. Take violent crime. Last year alone, working shoulder to shoulder with our partners in state and local law enforcement, the FBI arrested more than 20,000 violent criminals and child predators. That's an average of almost 60 bad guys taken off the streets per day, every day.
And if that's what you guys were doing, nobody would have a problem with it.
Yeah, but that's kind of your entire job. You should be doing that. You should be doing a lot more of that, but they don't because they're busy spying on American citizens that aren't doing any real crimes, like Catholics and other people like that. And they're busy manufacturing nonsense for Twitter.
He told us 20,000 criminals taken off the street. That's an average of 60 a day or whatever the fuck he said. Well, let's do it based on the number of agents. 38,000 agents. That's less than one criminal per.
Well, some of them don't work real hard, Monkey.
You got 38,000 people sitting around. Half of them got their thumb up their ass by your own thing here.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't have their thumb up their ass. They're spying on the Catholics and the parents.
They can do that.
If you're a Catholic parent, oh my God, you are so criminal. If you voted for Trump, oh my God, you're gonna go away for life.
Fuck, man. Anyway.
Or our work going after the cartels, exploiting our southwest border to traffic fentanyl.
Have we stopped the fentanyl problem? Are the cartels gone?
No. Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. Combat veterans too, Assassin. You're not wrong. And like Evolve just pointed out, a lot of the cases they close are actually done by local law enforcement, and the FBI just comes in and basically copies their reports and is like, "We did it," and steals all the credit.
And he'll bring this up. I think he's the one. It'll be part of a task force where they still do all the work locally.
Yeah, the locals do the real work, and then some federal agent takes all the credit for it.
Look at what we did in the task force.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it was the local sheriff who did it.
FBI agents are some of the most fucking arrogant people on the planet. They walk in the room thinking they're the greatest thing on earth and everybody should bow down to them. Yeah, fuck these scumbags. They need to disband this agency.
Yep.
dangerous drugs into communities nationwide. The FBI is running well over 300 investigations targeting the leadership of those cartels. And working with our partners, we've already seized hundreds of kilograms of fentanyl this year alone.
Working with our partners. Other people did it. I'm going to take credit.
Yep.
And then we got 300 investigations into the cartels. The ones in Mexico that you can't touch legally? All right, good job.
Yeah, they're really not even trying.
I'm sure they're quaking.
Stopping deadly drugs from reaching their intended destinations in states all over the country and saving countless American lives.
Hey, I got an idea. You ready for this, Shaq? There are 38,000 of these FBI agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
We fire 3/4 of them. So there's only about 10,000 left, just under 10,000. And we put them all on the fucking border so we can search everything that comes through and nobody can crawl under anything. How about that? We could keep a pretty good eye on the border with 10,000 new agents there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, seems like a good idea.
Or the thousands of active investigations we now have into the Chinese
It's
government's efforts to steal our most precious secrets, rob our businesses.
You guys aren't doing shit about that.
And what are you going to do about it?
They're going to do nothing. Probably take bribes from China. It wouldn't surprise me at all if some of these guys are paid off by China. I wouldn't even bat an eye. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
China is absolutely stealing our intellectual property constantly.
Yeah. And what have they done about it?
Not a fucking thing.
Yeah,
every
talk
so
a
often,
mean game, and that's it.
Yeah, every so often a politician will give a speech about it. Okay. And the Chinese are still doing it.
Yep.
Of their ideas and innovation and repress freedom of speech right here in the United States.
You mean like you guys are doing?
The balls on this motherfucker. Let's take that back. Let's take that back.
To secrets, rob our businesses of their ideas and innovation, and repress freedom of speech right here in the United States.
You dick nose. And he actually kind of has a dick nose.
Yeah.
You guys have been accused of suppressing freedom of speech, you fucking asshole. You think that it's okay for you to suppress freedom of speech and in order to defend yourself, be like, hey, we've stopped the Chinese from doing it in America.
Yeah, they're jealous.
All right, I need you to answer this for me, Director Ray. How in the fuck are the Chinese keeping me from speaking?
Oh, see, they're paying the FBI and the DNC.
I don't think we're supposed to bring that part up.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
And that is just scratching the surface. The men and women of the FBI work tirelessly every day to protect the American people from what is really a staggering array of threats.
By spying
we
on
don't
them.
do that work.
Yeah, we have to watch you to make sure you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only way to ensure safety is an abject police state.
True. That is actually true.
I know. It's horrifying.
But I'm not about safety. I prefer freedom. And I've said this before. Freedom is scary.
Listen
because
to
it's
this
not
monster I work with. You guys hear that? I want freedom. Oh, my God. You sound like a Uyghur. You know that?
You know, it's part of what's scary about becoming an adult, right? Because it is freedom. You don't have your parents' rules anymore. You are, well, not anymore, but this is how it used to be. You have to go out on your own and make it, and everything that happens to you is your fault. Freedom's scary. But would you rather still have mom and dad telling you when your bedtime is?
Apparently there's a lot of people that would.
Right? A lot of people are, yeah, please. I need my mommy. I need Director Ray with his thumb up his butt.
He's going to come in and check on you while you sleep and invade your dreams.
We are only 26 minutes into this.
I know, and both of us keep interrupting this fucking nonsense.
And it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I know. It's already pissing me off. I saw a fair amount of this earlier today throughout the day. Mom had it on, and I was like, man, why are you watching this shit? She's like, I don't know.
I see. People should watch this. Honestly, I know it's frustrating, but this is your government at work, guys.
Or
Thank you, Dark Resurrect, for that feminist $12. Those who would sacrifice liberty for temporary security deserve neither. Benjamin Franklin, indeed.
It's true. See,
Indeed.
that's something the founders understood better than we do now, because they came from the British Empire where there were no rights. You had no Bill of Rights. You
Yep.
had no freedoms. You had what they allowed, and they could change that on a dime. And
they
I
did.
think I like to hope that people are kind of waking up to the fact that the agencies that are going rogue are targeting them on a whim.
On a whim. All right, let's try to get through him and start with the questionings. Jack, it might get to a point where I'm like, fuck it, we'll jump around to specific people, but we'll see what happens.
Work alone. The FBI now
Because there's
leads
some I want to
more
watch.
than 750 task force.
That bald guy, I forget his name. He was part of the group that helped keep McCarthy from getting in so long. With the he's got the Van Dyke and the bald head. His testimony or his questioning leads this motherfucker on the screen right now to say something that literally broke my brain.
Wow.
I went, what the fuck did he just say? So we will be watching that one.
This is nationwide, made up of more than 6,000 state and local task force officers, or TFOs as we call them, from more than 1,800 different state and local agencies. Each of those TFOs represents an officer, a deputy, or an investigator that a local police chief, sheriff, or state superintendent was willing to send our way. Certainly not because they didn't have enough work to do in their own department, but because they saw the tremendous value that our FBI-led task forces bring.
Because if they don't, then you will punish them later when they actually do need something.
Yeah.
We are honored and humbled by their trust in us and
this
grateful
motherfucker
for their partnership. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. To truly appreciate the impact the FBI and our partners are having, you got to look at the cases. Just last month, for instance.
The problem is we have looked at the cases, shithead.
Yeah. Which cases should we look at? Ruby Ridge, Operation Northwoods. What are we talking here, buddy? Waco?
FBI charged 31 members of 2 drug trafficking organizations responsible for distributing dangerous drugs like fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine throughout the area around Marion, Ohio. In that one investigation run out of the FBI's 2-man office in Mansfield, we worked with partners from multiple local police departments and sheriff's offices to take kilos of fentanyl off Marion streets. Enough lethal doses, I should add, to kill the entire population of Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati combined. It's a great example of how even a small...
I would just like to say a big thank you to the Marion police who did all that work.
Right?
Office with a small personnel footprint. The FBI is working big cases hand in hand with our state and local partners to have an outsized impact in our communities.
Fort Native says, you want a fucking cookie? That's your actual job, right?
Right? Yeah, we deserve recognition for doing what we're paid to do. You should love us. That's how you get fired from your job. You're difficult to work with.
Oh, God.
Thousands of employees working scores of investigations like that all over the country to protect the American people.
Thank you, Cass One, who says, and now they're telling us their plans. Yeah.
Those men and women who choose to dedicate their careers, their lives really, to this kind of work and fulfilling the FBI mission are inspiring. At a time when so many other law enforcement agencies have had a difficult time with recruiting and retention, the Bureau continues to attract applicants in near record numbers.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because that comes up repeatedly in this thing.
Yeah.
Yes, there's people who are like, okay, fuck the local police. I'm going to go work for the FBI because at least then I have protections. The FBI is not being thrown under the bus by the president when they fuck up. Instead, they get excused.
Yeah, and they're given accolades for doing what are blatantly criminal acts, violating civil rights. I mean, what kind of people are you actually attracting here? Because it's not going to be good, honest, hardworking people. You're going to get people that are corrupt.
Well, let me ask you this, Jack. Would you rather be a patrolman who's out there every day writing tickets on the highway, or some fed sitting in a fucking office with his thumb up his butt watching what you and me are doing?
Yeah, well, that's an easy choice because you want to be the Fed, but
Yeah, because we're funny too.
yeah, we're pretty awesome. Plus, then you can ignore whatever the laws are and just do whatever you want. And your bosses are going to give you a free pass.
Yep. We'll get to that again later.
In fact, after the first couple years of my tenure, the number of Americans applying to be special agents tripled the pace from when I started, reaching the highest levels in about a decade.
You mean when all the police were leaving regular police forces?
Yeah.
Shocking.
In fact.
At the same time, inside the FBI, our special agent attrition has remained in the low single digits and would be the envy of almost any employer. And even with these big...
You mean people with government jobs aren't quitting? I'm shocked. Let me see. I can get a pension. I got health care. I'm decently paid. Yeah, I'm going to quit that job and I'm going to go work at Burger King. This fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I would
federal benefits. What? I'm going to turn those down.
This isn't the same as the military where they do have a problem with keeping people. This is basically a government job. Yeah, there's some field people who go out with guns every now and then to, arrest a dad who defended his child from a fucking weirdo. But for the most part, I mean, they're sitting in their office with a thumb up their ass.
Yep.
Bigger numbers.
Letting the locals do the job.
To add.
Keldrick, thank you. This man never needs to hire a hooker. He sucks his own dick better than any corner girl could. You're not wrong. Well, what'd Jack say before we even got to him? These are some fucking very conceited motherfuckers.
Continue.
They make me look humble.
Top notch. The percentage of both veterans and special agent hires with prior law enforcement experience has remained as steady as ever.
Oh, cool. Monkey watching my boss. Maybe they can give me a raise to support watching Monkey more. Thank you so much, Monkey's FBI agent. Appreciate you spending some of that government salary on me.
25 and 30%. Add to that, in a job market where applicants have a whole lot of other opportunities, the percentage of those new agent trainees that also have advanced degrees is up and now approaches.
You need a bunch of people who can't find work elsewhere with their degrees or going. This is such a weird brag that he's doing here, because there's reasons for why this is happening, and it's not because he's a great FBI director. Oh, what a dick.
Well, he brings this up multiple times. I don't know if you want to go over all of them, but he brings this up like, in the state of Texas, we've got thousands of applications. In the state of Florida, we got thousands of applications. Shut up. You don't know what kind of people those are? Fuck off.
When he gets back to it, we'll skip when he does it. But yeah, you're right. He does it at least 3 times.
It's about 50% of every class at Quantico. But the thing that unites them all is a commitment to public service, a willingness to put others above themselves.
The thing that unites them all is a paycheck, dickhead.
Yeah. And saying people have advanced degrees is not the braggadocious thing you think it is, because that just makes me think they're even more indoctrinated into commie politics.
I'm not trying to be mean here, but this is not, he's trying to make it sound like the military, where you go in and you are literally putting your life on the line. And to the point where the president says, hey, go kill that. And it's like, but that looks scary. Do it anyway. You're mostly talking about people who sit in offices. Be honest about it. They have a commitment to public. They have a commitment to a paycheck, fucknut. And nice benefits, Jack.
Yes, very nice benefits.
And that is true from the bottom of the organization to the top. Since becoming director, I have worked hard.
Wait. Okay. I get what you're going for there. But what you should have never brought that that's true from the bottom to the top, because you just patted yourself on the back, dickhead.
He does it a lot in this.
He does, because he's a twat.
Hard to assemble and cultivate a leadership team that embodies those values and characteristics. It's a team that I purposefully chose.
Why would it be hard to do that if the entire organization is made up of those people? I'm confused. The entire organization, 38,000 people are all like that. That's the one thing that binds them together, is what he told us.
In the darkness binds them.
But it's hard to find a leadership team comprising them. You have 38,000 people to choose from. All right.
Because they walked the walk out in the field. Just taking our top 8 leaders as an example, they all came up through the Bureau as line agents. They've worked in 21 different field offices and have a combined 130 years of field experience. They include a West Point grad, veterans of the Army, Air Force, and Marines, as well as a former police officer and state trooper. And not a single one is a political appointee, not one. Today's FBI leaders reflect.
That's because no one underneath you is a political appointee, you fucking idiot.
Look, your hate facts are relevant here. Nadler's eating this up because he has no idea how this actually is set up.
That's another one of those things, like, you just said nothing.
Yeah,
None
but
of
it
them
sounds good to the uneducated people. They're like, oh, that's a really good point.
God bless.
The best of our organization, an organization that is made up of 38,000 men and women who.
Any of them at Ruby Ridge?
Oh, we don't talk about all the fuck ups they do.
Are patriots, professionals, and dedicated public servants. And that is the real FBI. I've now visited every single one of our 56 field offices twice, some of them more than twice. I speak constantly with local chiefs and sheriffs from all 50 states who work closely with us every day, with judges coast to coast who see and hear our work up close.
So he's made 100 trips where he could have had phone calls. You're wasting my money, fucker.
Pretty much.
You guys Zoom.
With business leaders who turn to us for help with cyber attacks and Chinese economic espionage.
How them cyber attacks going? You got them under control yet?
Yeah, right.
Wasn't there just another big one a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
With victims and their families, people that we protect from gangs and predators. And
you're right.
Wait, you talk to the victims, people who you protect. Then why'd you call them victims? Are victims people who were protected from crime?
Well, I don't know. Did the FBI perpetrate the crime?
Probably.
And the FBI they tell me about consistently, almost resoundingly, is the same FBI that I see, an FBI that is respected, appreciated, trusted, and that is there for them when they need us the most. And that is the FBI that inspires me.
Go ahead.
Is he really just watching like old episodes of FBI and Criminal Minds?
Yes. They respect us. Come talk to me, homie.
They will if you ask them. Like
you're
devil.
You're protecting me from fentanyl. That's what you told me. And I guess cyber crimes. Come here. Let's have a conversation. Let's see if you walk away feeling respected and honored. Fucking asshole.
They'll just arrest you and throw you in a gulag.
Oh, of course they will. My taxes will all get audited.
Yeah.
To be here today to represent. Thank you.
All righty. Time
Thank
for
you.
questioning.
We will now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Wray, this is no time to mince words. The American people have lost faith in the FBI.
He just told us they didn't, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, they love us, or else they go to jail.
What does the public polling say right now?
Nobody trusts the FBI.
All of our constituents are demanding that we get this situation under control, and we have to do that. That's our responsibility. This is not a political party issue, sir. This is about whether the very system of justice in our country can be trusted anymore. Without that, no republic can survive. See, the American people that we represent are losing count of the scandals that are mounting. The FBI has been involved. They've seen evidence that it's being used as a political tool of the Biden administration. They've seen counterterrorism resources being used against school parents, the homes of conservative political opponents being raided. They've seen conservative states being targeted over their election integrity laws, and conservative Catholics and pro-life citizens characterized as violent extremists. Just last month, as you know, former Special Counsel John Durham sat right in that seat and testified that the Justice Department and the FBI should never have launched the bogus Trump-Russia investigation. And his lengthy report reluctantly concluded that the FBI, quote, failed to uphold its mission of strict fidelity to the law. Just last week, NBC had a poll. Only 37% of registered voters now view the FBI positively.
But he just told us everybody loves him.
Yeah, it's because he only talks to people that love him. Because anybody that doesn't love him must be a criminal.
Look at his face. Look at his face as he's being told this stuff.
Yeah, he's like, it's not true. I'm awesome.
He's getting mad as fuck.
It's like Ethan Ralph when you hear a pill bottle.
In 2018, by comparison, 52% of the country had a positive view of the FBI. There's a serious decline in the people's faith, and it's on your watch, sir. And then, July 4th, we had this explosive 155-page opinion from a federal court in my home state of Louisiana. It explains in detail that the FBI has been directly involved in what the court says is, quote, arguably the most massive attack against free speech in United States history.
But it wasn't from the Chinese, so it was okay.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes the difference is the Chinese are honing in on their turf.
Court ordered the White House, DOJ, and FBI, among others, to immediately cease colluding with and coercing social media companies to suppress American speech. Of course.
And the FBI came out and said, we can't do our job if we can't do that.
Yeah. We're good. We're going to keep violating your rights.
Conservative speech in particular. Director Wray, I find it stunning. You made no mention of this court opinion either in your opening statement today or in this lengthy 14-page report that you prepared on July 12th, which is 8 days after the court ruling. Have you read the ruling, sir?
I am familiar with the ruling, and I've reviewed it with our Office of General Counsel.
Are you deeply disturbed by what they've told you about the ruling if you haven't read it yourself?
Obviously, we're going to comply with the court's order, the court's
preliminary
injunction. We sent out guidance to the field and the headquarters about how to do that. Needless to say, the injunction itself is a subject of ongoing litigation, and so
I'll in other words, we're fighting it because we don't want to comply with it.
Yep, he didn't say, because he asked him, are you disturbed by this? And he did not touch on that at all.
Nope.
And the ongoing litigation is to try to get this injunction lifted so that they can still suppress your speech.
Yeah, because what they're really disturbed by is the fact that somebody told them no.
Can I just say this guy in the background right here with the mole on his face? That looks like the unhappiest motherfucker on the planet.
Good, he looks like a piece of shit.
That dude looks like he needs a wellness check.
He probably is mad that his wife isn't cooking dinner right.
Well, let me tell you what the court concluded, because it should be the first thing you think about every morning and the last thing you think about at night. They said that, quote, the court found, apparently the FBI engaged in a massive effort to suppress disfavored conservative speech and blatantly ignored the First Amendment's right to free speech. The evidence shows the FBI threatened adverse consequences to social media companies that they did not comply with its censorship request. The court found that, quote, this seemingly unrelenting pressure by the FBI and the other defendants had the intended result of suppressing millions of protected free speech postings by American citizens. As a result, the court states, for example, millions of citizens did not hear about the Hunter Biden laptop story prior to the November 3rd, 2020 election. Page 4 of the court ruling lists some of the important subjects that the Biden administration and the FBI forced the social media platforms to suppress. The evidence shows you, your agency, the people that directly report to you, suppressed conservative-leaning free speech about topics like the laptop, the lab leak theory of COVID-19's origin, the effectiveness of masks and COVID-19 lockdowns and vaccines, speech about election integrity,
I gotta grab
the
a drink.
2020 presidential election,
Okay.
security of voting by mail, even parody about the president himself, negative posts about the economy. The FBI made the social media platforms pull that information off the internet if it came from conservative sources. They did this under the guise that it was disinformation. Can you define what disinformation is?
What I can tell you is that our focus is not on disinformation, broadly speaking.
Well, wait a
but on
minute. Yes, it is.
well,
Wait a minute.
Can I answer the question?
You can in a minute. Your star witness said in the litigation, Elvis Chan, who's in charge of this, said they do it on the basis of disinformation. We need
Elvis Chan, his name came up repeatedly in the Twitter files. So if that name sounds familiar, that's where it's from.
Yeah, that guy's
a definition of what that is.
Yes, he is.
Our focus is on malign foreign disinformation. That is foreign hostile actors who engage in covert efforts to
Mr. Wray,
abuse our social media platforms, which is something that is not seriously in dispute.
I have
as
to
a
stop you for
phenomenon.
time. That's not accurate. You need to read this court opinion because you're in charge of enforcing it. The court has found that, and Elvis Chan testified under oath in charge of this for you. He said 50%. He had a 50% success rate in having alleged election disinformation taken down or censored. That wasn't just foreign adversaries, sir. That was American citizens. How do you answer for that?
And before he gets to his non-answer here, he still has not answered what misinformation is.
Oh, and he won't. Look, anybody that says something he doesn't like is clearly a foreign agent, so they should be suppressed. That
Indeed.
seems to be the answer I got out of this.
They're all Chinese.
Yeah, obviously they're Rusky spies.
Well, did you notice? Oh, fuck. Sorry, dude. I fell a little bit.
Oh,
Did you notice when he was doing that part? It was the Chinese. He didn't mention the Russians at all.
that kind of surprises me.
Not me, because the Chinese have been the ones that have been in the news for like TikTok. So, got to go for the Chinese right now. Anyway,
Well, first off, I'm not sure that's a correct characterization.
Comes
of
right
his
out of the opinion.
testimony.
You should
But
read it.
what of his testimony, but
it's literally what the opinion says.
Yep. But that's not correct because it said so.
what I would say is the FBI is not in the business of moderating
They're not supposed to be.
content or causing any social media company to suppress or censor.
That is not what
But
the
they
court has
did.
found.
What I would also say is
Jack, we read through the first 9 of the Twitter file things here on the show.
Yep.
And they were specifically shutting people down because they didn't like what they were saying.
Yeah, it says FBI is not in the business of that. What is it, a hobby then? You just do that one in your downtime, like on your lunch break?
You know
'Cause you
what?
clearly did it, you fuck.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he's splitting hairs here because it's just what they do for fun.
so among the things that you listed off, I find ironic the reference to the lab leak theory. The idea that the FBI would somehow be involved in suppressing references to the lab leak theory is somewhat absurd when you consider the fact that the FBI was the only agency in the entire intelligence community to reach the assessment that it was more likely than not that that was the explanation.
But your
for the
How long did it take you?
Yeah, and why did you tell people to shut up about it before that?
Yeah, you didn't do that until COVID had been already going on for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And until then, don't act like you didn't have something to do with that. It's in fucking piece of shit.
So many
Agents-
lies.
your
and
agents
half-truths
pulled it off
coming
the
out of
internet.
this.
It's enraging.
That's,
Yeah,
sir,
but
that's
they
what
know
the
there's no
evidence in the court
consequence.
has
So.
found.
True.
Time the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Director Wray, House Republicans have attacked the execution of the search warrant
This is Nadler talking right now.
of Mar-a-Lago last August as a, quote, unprecedented raid.
It
Do you
was.
consider the execution of the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago a raid?
I would not call it a raid. I would call it the execution of a lawful search warrant.
Tomato, fucker.
Yeah.
Can you describe how the search was executed?
Well, we had the case team, follow its standard procedure. It has sometimes been described as a SWAT.
Timeout. Notice he said the unprecedented raid, and then he starts switching to, is it a raid? The unprecedented part of it is that it's never been done to a president before. That is still unprecedented, whether you call it a raid or a lawful execution of a search warrant.
Yeah, I would call it a friendly neighborhood visit from heavily armed men.
Yeah. Were your lawyers not allowed to be there?
Operation, it was not. There was no SWAT involvement. But beyond that, I think I want to be.
Is it standard procedure for you guys to deny a warrant to be read to the or by the person's lawyer?
Yeah, because it's totally unconstitutional.
100%.
Really careful with getting too far into the details now that this case is not only in the hands of a special counsel, but more importantly, in my view, in front of the court. And I learned a long time ago as a line prosecutor and defense lawyer to respect the court process is where I think we should speak.
Were particular steps taken to ensure that the execution of the search warrant did not draw undue attention?
It was a raid on Mar-a-Lago. How in the hell? Okay. Jack, there's no way you do a raid on Mar-a-Lago and not get undue attention.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they didn't call CNN in advance this time,
This time.
as far as we know.
They probably did.
They probably did. It's I mean, there was recordings of it.
Yeah. Oh,
I think there were steps.
Thank you, Keldrick. It's not murder, you see. It's unlawful execution of a person. Yeah, it's absolutely hair splitting like that.
Cirque asked, did he say lying prosecution? No. He was a line, Line prosecutor. But yeah, he's a lying one too.
Along those lines, yes, sir.
Can you name a couple of them?
Well, among other things, we did not have people coming in so-called raid jackets, which is often something you would see.
So in other words, the FBI agents executing the search wore plain clothes so as not to attract undue attention. The FBI waited until Trump had left Mar-a-Lago to execute the search. Is that correct?
Did they have their sidearms on?
They had long guns, so fuck them. They're full of shit.
I swear they were holstered.
Like, yeah, these guys. Anybody that was even in the area looking around would have been like, "Oh, that place is getting raided."
No, man, undue attention because they took off their FBI jackets.
Yeah, so it just looked like a home invasion.
It looked like the cartels came in.
Yeah. I hate this disingenuous shitbag so much.
Yeah, me too. Is this the picture from the Mar-a-Lago raid? Yeah, those guys are still wearing their jackets. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Because he's full of shit.
And
that's why.
Chairman Jordan has attacked the DOJ and the FBI for not attempting to get the documents back from Trump consensually before turning to a search warrant. I want to walk through all the opportunities Trump had to produce these documents and have a series of yes or no questions. The National Archives, also known as NARA, first asked Trump to return all presidential records to them in May 2021, correct?
Well, I don't remember the date, but I remember there was a request by the National Archives.
And then throughout 2020.
This is where Nadler's going to be lying. As you mentioned, there were specific things they asked for which were turned over.
Yep.
They always forget that part, that stuff was turned over.
Well, multiple times. They went back, were like, oh yeah, we need that too.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, and they turned them over. And then they pulled this bullshit because they're like, no, it wasn't enough.
NARA made repeated follow-up requests, but still Trump replied to comply, correct?
Yes, I would refer you to the pleadings that have been filed in court that lay out in better detail than I could hear.
In fact, it was not until January 2022, after NARA warned Trump that failing to return documents could violate the Presidential Records Act, that Trump finally produced 15 boxes of documents to it, correct?
Again, I would just refer to our court filings, which go into great detail about all this.
And even these 15 boxes did not contain all the documents Trump was required to return, correct?
That's my recollection, but again, I'll refer
So
to
in
the
May
filings.
2022, a grand jury had to actually subpoena Trump for the missing documents, correct?
The same answer.
And Trump was then present on June 3rd when his attorneys handed over another folder of documents and a certification that all classified material had been returned, correct?
Again,
I'm
going
gonna
to
talk
stick
over him
with
for a
what's
minute.
in the court
Do
filings.
you notice how
That
much
sounds right
nicer
to
he
me,
looks
but I
when he's
really want to be
answering
careful to stay
Nadler?
within the four corners.
Yeah.
The certification was false,
Well, he knows
right?
they're softball
Even then, Trump
questions.
had not returned all
Yeah.
classified material, correct?
I think that is part of the indictment.
He had
Well, it
additional
wasn't
documents
classified
hiding
if
in his
Trump
bathroom, in his
declassified it.
storage room, in his storage units, etc. Yes?
Again, I think that's part of the indictment.
And so finally, DOJ and FBI were required to obtain a search warrant to obtain the classified documents that had not been retained, correct?
Same answer.
The documents retrieved during that search included 69 marked confidential, 98 secret, and 30 top secret. Is that correct?
Same answer.
So to sum up, President Trump had many, many chances to voluntarily comply with FBI and DOJ's request. Instead, he made the choice to keep these highly classified defense and national security documents, apparently because he wanted a souvenir.
This
I
chick in the
find myself in a
background has
strange
good
position of
shaving.
agreeing with former Attorney General Bill Barr's statement that Trump brought this on himself, and I would add that it's absurd that House Republicans are attacking the FBI and DOJ for doing their job and
I think
ensuring
she has
that no
to pee.
person
She keeps
is above
raising
the
her
law.
arm.
Yield back.
Can I go to the
Gentleman yields
teacher?
back. The
I gotta go.
Teacher,
gentleman from
I
Kentucky is recognized for 5
want to
minutes.
go to the bathroom.
All right, next up, I think, is Massey.
I thank the chairman. Director Wray, in light of information provided to us about the FBI's investigation.
Fox did this completely different. They were on the senators the whole time instead of on Ray here.
Oh yeah.
So it was a lot easier to know who was talking because Jordan is just calling them by the state they're from. I'm almost positive this is Massey.
Of the January 6th pipe bombs. In an interview with Assistant Director Stephen Drontuano, Chairman Jordan and I sent you a letter a month ago. Some of the information that we found in that interview was that phone data that could have helped to identify the pipe bomber was corrupted, was unusable. He also wasn't sure who found or how the second bomb was found at the DNC. Do you know how the second bomb was found at the DNC?
Planted it.
They put it there. I love when we're on the same page too.
I know, right? It's horrifying.
And when do you plan on answering our letter?
Well, as to the letter, I will work with the department to make sure we can figure out what information we can provide. As you know, this is a very active, ongoing investigation, and there are some restrictions on that, but we
Yes,
will.
we can handle
respond.
classified information, and we fund your department, and so you need to provide that.
It's not, respectfully, it's not an issue of classification. It's an issue of commenting on ongoing criminal.
So it's an issue of commenting on the people that we had plant it.
This is a month ago. Massey and Jordan write this asshole a letter going, hey, we understand that there were several phones, not just a phone, several phones that had information that could have told us who did this, and somehow they all got corrupt. What's up with that?
Well,
And
Hillary
this-
took a hammer and
And this asshole's answer is ongoing investigation.
yeah, an investigation. They were able to track down some bitch in Alaska that stood out in front of the Capitol, but they can't find somebody that threw some pipe bombs down, which is arguably way more serious. Bullshit.
Yeah.
This is more Fed psyop nonsense, and they're just covering it up.
Investigations, which is something that by long-standing department policy, we are restricted in doing. And in fact, the last administration actually
You're
strengthened those
the
policies
director.
partly
That's
because
not,
He's the director. This is a department policy. Now, look, that's fine if he wants to hide behind it, but that's a decision he's making. It's not law.
Yeah, but they're going to keep hiding behind it because they don't want to reveal that they were framing somebody.
That they planted some pipe bombs that didn't even work.
Yeah.
not our policy, though, and we fund you, so let's move on.
I could
Do you know
just
how the
finish
second
partly
pipe bomb,
because-
can you tell us how the second pipe bomb was found at the DNC?
Again, I'm not going to get into that here.
900 days ago.
I can't tell you how it was found. Jack, how are most things found?
Somebody's like, "What's that?"
Yeah, somebody.
In this case, some feds like, "I put this over here."
This isn't even a matter of the criminal case. This is who found. How was it spotted?
Do you think Ray Epps found it?
I think Ray Epps planted it.
He's too fat. One of his friends probably did it.
Is when this happened, and you said you had total confidence we'd apprehend the subject. We've found video that looks like somebody, a passerby, miraculously found this pipe bomb at the DNC and then notified the police. Miraculously, I say, because it was specifically the precise time to cause the maximum distraction from the events going on at the Capitol. Can you show this video that we have, please? I'd like to know if the director...
If this is like the other thing, we're not going to get to see the videos, the Fox feed. I apologize for that, guys. I don't know what the videos actually show, which might be why they did it this way too, Jack. Have you seen any video footage of a pipe bomb being found?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
But I'm sure it's on social media now.
This is somebody with a mask on, wearing a hat. They're walking in front of the DNC, which is out of the view on the right-hand side. You'll see him come into view. He goes to one police car. He goes to another police car. He's holding a backpack. He's got a mask on. He's talking to the police. And within a minute, they start scrambling. You'll see the camera turn to the pipe bomb, the location of the pipe bomb. By the way, that's, I believe the Metro police are now getting out of their car, and that's Vice President-elect's detail in the black SUV, I believe, parked about 30 feet from the pipe bomb, eating lunch. Okay, now we go over to the location of the pipe bomb. The cameras are scrambling. It appears to me that that's not a coincidence, that the person with the backpack who walked by that bench and then went up to the police and the detail didn't do that accidentally. They had a purpose in mind, and that what transpired after that was the result of information that person gave to them. If that person found the pipe bomb, would they be a suspect?
Cognus asked if I can go through the entire hearing. No. We are only 40 minutes into it. How long is the show so far, Jack?
2 hours, 7 minutes.
Absolutely not. It's just too long.
Well, again, I don't want to speculate about specific individuals.
I can link it.
I will tell you that we have done thousands of interviews, reviewed something like 40,000 video files, of which this is one. Assessed 500 something tips.
Have you interviewed that person?
Devices. We have conducted all logical investigative steps and interviewed all logical individuals.
Have you interviewed that person? We've done all logical investigative steps. That's a yes or no question.
Yeah, and he dodged it.
Cognus wants a 30-hour stream, and he says, I do.
Then you need, it's 900 days. You need to tell us what you found, because we're finding stuff you haven't released into the public. In my remaining minute, I want to turn to another issue. George Hill, former FBI supervisory intelligence analyst in the Boston field office, told us that the Bank of America, with no legal process.
I'll back this up so we can get the full context here. This is one of the ones I did not know about, and this is fucking disturbing.
Former FBI supervisory intelligence analyst in the Boston field office told us that the Bank of America, with no legal process, gave to the FBI gun purchase records with no geographical boundaries for anybody that was a Bank of America customer. Is that true?
Well, what I do know is that a number of business community partners all the time, including financial institutions, share information with us about possible criminal activity. And
Jack, we talked yesterday about the Ring cameras and how if it's your information, you can give it to the police.
Yeah.
What can't happen is Ring can't go, oh, this person recorded that and give it to the police. You have to be the one who says, yes, go ahead. Now, I know we talked about them looking into the gun purchasing and stuff.
Uh-huh.
What I didn't know is that the FBI specifically asked for it.
Oh,
Because he, in his answer right there, tries to make it sound like, oh, yeah, our partners came to us with this. They shared this information with us. Yeah, they shared it because you fucking asked for it. I'm getting ahead of the testimony a little bit.
that's okay.
My understanding is that that's fully lawful. In the
Did you-
specific,
Did
in
you
the
ask for that
specific instance-
information?
in the specific instance that you're asking about, my understanding is that that information was shared with field offices for information only, but then recalled to avoid even the appearance of any kind of overreach. But my understanding is that that's a fully lawful process.
Was
Fully lawful if the consumer comes to you and goes, hey, I bought a gun. Now, you can try to hide behind that bullshit of, well, banks have to report stuff. There was no crime here.
It's a thought crime because how dare you want a gun? You
Is there a
think that
warrant involved?
Constitution applies to you, peasant?
Right?
Again, my understanding is that the institution in question shared information with us, as happens all the time.
Did you
by
request the information?
I can't speak to the specifics.
Okay, well, we've got an email where it says the FBI did give the search queries to Bank of America, and Bank of America responded to the FBI and gave over this information without a search warrant.
That's the part where it becomes illegal on the FBI's part.
They don't care. Again, they're not going to get in trouble for any of this. He should just
Nope.
admit it because he knows he's not going to get in any trouble.
Do you believe there's any limitation on your ability to obtain gun purchase data or purchase information for people who aren't suspects from banks without a warrant?
Well, now you're asking a legal question, which I would prefer to defer to the lawyers, since I'm not practicing as one right now, including the department. But what I will tell you,
He's asking you about the function of your job, dipshit.
Oh, well, that's for the lawyers to lie about.
Do you think this is legal? That is very pertinent.
He knows it's not legal, but he doesn't
Yeah.
care, and he's going to dodge the question like a real lawyer would.
is that my understanding is that the process by which we receive information from business community partners across a wide variety of industries, including financial institutions, sharing information with us about possible criminal activity.
It wasn't about criminal activity. It was just people who might have bought guns.
Yep. Well, to them, that's criminal activity. Unless it's Hunter Biden, then it's cool.
Is something that is fully lawful under current federal law.
May be lawful, but it's not constitutional. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Wray, for being here. I think it's actually sad.
Oh, this is that old blonde lady,
that
isn't
the
it?
majority is
I don't know.
engaging
I
in
think so.
conspiracy theories and efforts to try and discredit one of the premier law enforcement agencies in the United States in
You
the
just suck
effort to
him off,
try
or-
and, without
Yes, she
really any
is.
evidence, make the case that the FBI is somehow opposed to conservative views. In my view, actually, I'm concerned that the FBI has been reluctant to do its job.
Yeah, this
when
is,
it comes
Lofgren.
to the former president. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to put in the record an
How sad
article
is it-
from the Washington Post.
Hey, stop.
FBI resisted opening probe into
We'll go back to we'll back that up a little bit. How sad is it that I've watched so much of this shit? I knew who it was just because it was her turn in order. I gotta stop
well.
watching the Judiciary Committee so much. Fuck.
Nobody else is. This is important because this really shows how arrogant and defiant the FBI is. They think they can break every law in the book and not get in trouble, and they're right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Anyway, back to Lofgren here.
in the United States in the effort to try and, without really any evidence, make the case that the FBI is somehow opposed to conservative views.
They are.
In my view, actually, I'm concerned that the FBI has been reluctant.
How about this? We won't hold it against anybody, but everybody in the FBI has to listen. We got to be able to see their voting record for the last 3 elections. We won't hold it against them. As soon as the information comes in, we'll scrub their name. But just to find out how they've been voting, Jack, you think they'd go for that?
I think the Democrats would be fine with it.
Well, I don't think they will. I think the Democrats would be upset because it would show us that these are a bunch of partisan shitbags.
To do its job when it comes to the former president. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to put in the record an article from the Washington Post. FBI resisted opening probe into Trump's role in January 6th for more than a year.
Without objection.
Director Wray, would you disagree with the premise of this article that the FBI delayed in looking at Mr. Trump himself? The January 6th committee, and I was a member, did find that the ex-president was the center of a wide-ranging conspiracy to overturn the election. Did the FBI start looking right after January 6th at the ex-president?
I'm sorry, I just lost the last part of your question there.
Did the FBI start looking at the ex-president's role in January 6th, starting January 7th or closely to that time?
Well, let me start with, I'm not in the business of kind of commenting or engaging on the truth or false.
He should have stopped right there.
Yeah.
It's another simple question. I don't comment on cases and stuff. How long did it take? Did you guys do it immediately? The answer to that, by the way, is actually yes.
Yeah. Well, she seems to have forgotten that he, was their organization was spying on Trump during the first election.
Right.
So they obviously don't have a problem opening cases on Trump.
Falsity of newspaper articles. And in this particular instance, as I'm sure you can appreciate, there is an ongoing, very important ongoing special counsel investigation that's now in court. And so
all you were asked is, did you start it immediately? There's an ongoing investigation. How the fuck does that? It's not like that's going to sway something. Even if a jurist heard that, they're not going to be, oh my God, they started it immediately. That must mean guilty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, this guy's a disingenuous piece of shit. But real fast, thank you, Frosty Glass. Does the FBI have any limit on obtaining gun purchase information? Do you want me to even answer a question directly? Yes. Then I'm going to need to get all the way off my back about stuff we've done. Oh, okay. Let me get off that thing. Yep, exactly.
So not only do I not want to talk about the ongoing investigation, the internal deliberations related to it are even more sensitive.
I respect.
She didn't even ask you about the deliberations. She just asked if you started it immediately. This guy just won't answer anything.
No, because he's a piece of shit.
And he knows he'll get away with it.
Yep.
By the way, Matt Gaetz is up next.
Oh, nice.
That you cannot discuss ongoing investigations. Let me turn to another item. I mean, there's been criticism, and the ranking member went through the scenario leading up to the warrant for the documents at Mar-a-Lago. But I'd like to ask unanimous consent to put an article from the Washington Post. Showdown before the raid, FBI agents and prosecutors argued over Trump.
I realize this happens all the time, but these people in our Congress, they will. I want to ask unanimous consent to put this article into the record. It's the Washington Post. First of all, they lie constantly, but it's meaningless. It's some fucking asshole's version of events. It doesn't mean it's real or right. This isn't. It's not court documents. It's not a deep study that was done on something. It's a fucking Washington Post article.
Look, you have a lot of hate in your heart, and
I
that
do.
makes you a right-wing mega extremist monkey.
I could never sit in this gallery back here like these guys are, because I'd be like, you're fucking lying.
Yeah, you turn into that Wilson guy. You lie.
Yes.
It's pretty clear from this article that there was a resistance on the part of the FBI to actually look at the president or pursue that case vigorously. And although you can't comment on it, the article does suggest that FBI agents.
By the
want to
way, the
disclose
Republicans do this
case,
too.
because the ex-president made an assertion that a search had been made. Now we
Fucking Frost has said Howard Johnson is right. If you get that reference, you're awesome.
had Mr. D'Antuono in as a witness, and he testified 4 times that the Mar-a-Lago search had adequate probable cause. Do you agree with that statement?
The search had probable cause?
Correct.
Yes.
That's an ongoing investigation. How is he able to answer that?
Yeah, I know. I don't know how he keeps up with this woman, because she drones on like an old lady talking about her cat. And you're like, I'm bored. And you
Yeah,
start thinking about, like, did I leave my shoelaces untied? I don't want to look.
Thank you. And so you don't have any dispute that there was probable cause for this warrant. I just want to say, before going to my next question, that over and over again, the FBI delayed and showed unprecedented caution before investigating the ex-president, even when there was a potential threat to national security.
Bullshit.
That's my view. That's very.
Cirque points out she had to stop herself from calling it a raid. Yes, she did.
Yeah, because it's a common vernacular for stuff like that.
It was a fucking raid.
Yeah.
From the assertion that there was unfair targeting.
Can I, on that point, if I may, while I can't discuss any specific investigation, my expectation for all of our investigations, repeatedly communicated to all of our people, and this is especially important in sensitive investigations, is that our folks take great pains to be rigorous, professional, objective, following all our policies and procedures, and do the work in the right way. And sometimes that's frustrating to others.
My time is almost up. I want to ask you another question. In the Senate hearing, in response to Senator Wyden's question of whether the FBI is currently purchasing Americans' location data, you indicated that it was limited to data derived from internet advertising. It's since been reported that the FBI has admitted it bought U.S. location data. Is the FBI purchasing location data from commercial sources without a warrant?
This is an area that requires a little more precision and context for me to be able to answer that fully.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's a simple yes or no question that he's going to dance around, because that's absolutely what they're doing.
And it is absolutely against the law.
They don't care about that, though.
Fully, so have my staff follow back up with you so that I make sure that I don't leave something important out.
I'll just close with.
Are you guys purchasing Americans' location data? Look, that's really nuanced. I mean, you need some context there, but yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it, but there's a good reason.
Yeah, we won it.
Did we mention the Chinese are stealing stuff from us?
And we're not doing anything about it, even though that's our job.
Frosted says, I'm going to circle back to you.
Yeah, accurate.
The FBI had 3.4 million backdoor searches of
yes, the answer is yes, exactly.
Database without a warrant in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say whether the FBI is continuing to search the FISA database without a warrant for Americans?
Well, if you're asking about our use of 702 queries,
I am.
Those are, there is no warrant requirement under the Fourth Amendment for those queries. It's fairly well set.
But there is supposed to be probable cause still, you fucking asshole.
Probable cause is we think he's guilty. How's that?
You are not supposed to just be spying on Americans, asshole.
Well, the standard seems to be, we don't like this guy, let's get him.
Yep.
And that seems to be the probable cause for most of these.
Yep, indeed.
Settled. The 3.4 million figure that you're talking about, I guess I would say a couple things. One, that's not 3.4 million people. That's 3.4 million search terms or query terms. Second,
that's going to come up again later. Remember that 3.4 million.
Second, those are not queries in violation of rules. Those are just queries under
My
the
time has
procedure.
expired, but
Gentleman's
the
latest
committee
time
will
has
look into the warrant requirement later. in
Sure
the
will. You
process.
sure will. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
All right, here comes Matty Gates. Now, look, Jack, I think Matt Gates is kind of an asshole. I'm not a fan of the guy. He's probably the kind of guy that if you went to school with him, you just want to hit him.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do enjoy his questioning.
Yeah, when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't hate the guy, but he does seem like a bit of a douchebag.
Yeah, he is a douchebag. But anyway, here we go.
The American people need to understand what just happened. My Democrat colleague just asked the director of the FBI whether or not they are buying information about our fellow Americans. And the answer is, well, we'll just have to get back to you on that. Sounds really complicated. But I have other questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That should be headline news everywhere.
That requires some nuance.
We're not. I got to give you context.
Questions.
I need to run it through Chat GPT.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
I mean, it's absolutely a shakedown. Let's be honest, shall we?
Yeah. I'd be ashamed if anything happened to your business.
Look at the little smug fucking smile he's got.
Yeah.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI
Well, you
does
won't
not
answer the
and has
question.
no
Hold on.
interest in
You won't answer the
protecting
question
anyone
about whether or not
politically.
that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you. But let's go from the uncurious
dick.
to the downright nosy. How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Now, this is the part that is that where I was talking about the 1,200,000, whatever it is. That this is the important part to that, guys.
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than 1 million illegal ones? Because that's what the
Compliance incidences, Jack.
Yeah. Oh, it was just a whoopsie. Just
What
a
a
clerical error.
fucking euphemism. Because this is the FISA thing, it's not just a compliance error. That makes it illegal.
Yeah, a compliance error makes it sound like somebody didn't put a stapler back in the supply closet.
Yeah. Or Jack, you're supposed to have the staple a full inch down, and they only did it half an inch on the papers.
Yeah, and it wasn't straight across; it was at an angle.
It was cool. Yeah. Compliance, you fucking dick.
Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment by the Inspector General?
I'm not sure. Actually, that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General's.
Well.
Thank you, Frosted Glass. Call the waiter because this dick is on a roll. The Inspector General said that there were 1 million in error, and he says, I don't think that's a proper characterization.
Some of them weren't in error; they were on purpose. I mean,
what a dick bag. All right.
I'm not sure. Actually, that's a correct
It is.
characterization of the Inspector General's
100%.
Oh, well,
findings on
well,
that.
the internet will remind you of that in moments. But let's
I
now
love that
go
one.
to what the court said. The court said it was over 200,000 that have occurred on your watch. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment?
Again, I don't have the number as I sit here right now. What I can
Seems
tell
like
you-
a number you should know. How
You're the leader of the fucking place. You should know that number.
Yeah, why'd you come here unprepared?
You had to know somebody was going to ask about this. You
A
are
valid
under
question.
scrutiny, and you're like, I don't know the number.
How much you want to bet Matt Gaetz gets some eyes on him and some like stuff starts leaking out about him?
Oh,
Or there's
absolutely,
a case open on him.
100%. You can see it in Ray's face.
Yeah, he's vindictive.
Again, I don't have the number as I sit here right now. What I can
seems
tell
like
you-
a number you should know. How many times the FBI is breaking the law under your watch, especially if it's like over 1 million, to not know that number? And I'm worried about your veracity on the subject as well. Play the video.
letters for
you going to the
investigation
FISA
of
court?
the Capitol.
Or you
I don't
going-
believe FISA is remotely implicated in our investigation.
So there, Senator Lee's asking you whether or not FISA was in any way involved in your January 6th investigation, and you say no. Was that truthful?
I said that I did not believe it was.
Okay, so now let's pull.
What a splitting hair a little bit. I said I didn't believe it was. I didn't believe. You are the fucking head of the FBI. This is the biggest case in the country for what, a whole year and a half, Jack?
Oh yeah, easily.
And you can't tell us if you were using the FISA bullshit to look into it? Oh, dick.
Pull up what the court said, which was something a little different than what you said.
I miss C-SPAN.
So here,
Right.
nope, that's not the right one. Yeah, here we go. Right there, it says the government has reported additional significant violations of the querying standard, including several relating to the January 6, 2021 breach of the Capitol. So I guess the question, Director Wray, is did you not know when you were answering these questions that the FBI was engaging in these illegal searches, or did you perjure yourself to Senator Lee?
I certainly didn't perjure myself. At the time that I testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I didn't have that piece of information. I will add.
Well, that was a court order. You didn't have that piece of information because the court hadn't yet rendered a judgment. Did you not know when you gave the untruthful answer before Senator Lee that this was going on?
It was a truthful answer. I did not believe FISA had been involved in the January 6th
But it was.
investigation.
So you didn't. The answer is the FBI has broken so bad that people can go and engage in queries that when you come before the Congress to answer questions, you're like blissfully ignorant. You're blissfully ignorant as to the unlawful queries. You're blissfully ignorant as to the Biden shakedown regime. And it just seems like it gets into a kind of a creepy place as well. Go to our next image on what the court said. Like, just so the American people realize, the court has smacked you down, alleging or ruling FBI personnel apparently conducted queries for improper personal reasons. People were looking themselves up. They were looking their ex-lovers up. Who has been held accountable or fired as a consequence of the FBI using the FISA process as their like creepy personal snoop machine?
This is one of the problems with even having a system like that.
Yeah, that's why we shouldn't have secret courts. Personal
No.
vendettas get embedded in there.
There have been instances in which individuals have had disciplinary action and who
Name
are no
them.
longer with it. I can't get into it here, but we can follow back up
But
with
don't you
there.
see that that's kind of the thing, Director Wray, that you preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the Whoever was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is up over 100%.
Yeah, because all the corrupt people are like, hey, I want to work there.
What does that prove?
It's got nothing to do with anything. He's just trying to come off as like oh yeah, well, if we're so bad, how come everyone wants to work with us?
Let me assure you, when I worked at Walmart, almost everybody bitched about the place, but people kept applying.
Yeah,
come work for us and devote their lives working for us is over 100%.
We're deeply proud of them, and they deserve better than you.
All right, Jack, we're going to jump ahead. We want, I think it's like 126. Yeah, that's close enough. A lot of it's just repetitive. But this one is googly-eyed dickhead, Adam Schiff.
Amendment in this committee voted down by the Republicans that we should oversee the increasingly dire threat of domestic violent extremism. One of your recent reports underscored the rise of this prevalent threat, and I'd ask you if you would address it today.
So the rise of domestic violent extremism is something that I and we have been identifying for quite some time. It goes back well before January 6th. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but the Joint Terrorism Task Forces that we hear about so often at the FBI were largely created in response to domestic terrorism, not foreign terrorism. But in my first few years as director, we were identifying this issue more and more, and that's why we elevated in the summer of 2019 racially motivated violent extremism to a national threat priority level. And we saw, I think, about a 40%.
Sorry, I was trying to look at my next timestamp. This is the nonsense that they pulled. We're like, we got to get the racially motivated violent extremism, and suddenly their numbers shoot up because literally anything can be racist now.
Yeah,
and they're gonna act like this actually means something. You fucking piece of shit.
Increase in the number of domestic violent extremism investigations, all before.
What's up, Cool Frog?
To do with January 6th. Obviously, since then.
And welcome to your Raiders. How you guys doing tonight? To your, it's not a raid, Jack. What is it? Your lawful search warrant execution.
Has continued, but domestic violent extremism cuts across the spectrum from the racially motivated violent extremism, militia violent extremism, anarchist violent extremism.
I'm gonna need this. Yeah, Frosted. There are raids now. We asked this when we were talking about the FBI the other day. Where are all the militias that have been arrested for anything?
In an alternate universe, because they wouldn't even go after Antifa.
If I remember correctly, they're all related. The ones that they can point to would be related to January 6th, which a lot of that is nonsense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Environmental violent extremism, and of course, recently we've had a lot of violent extremism attacks against pro-life facilities, and we're investigating those.
Sure you are. Jack, I was shocked when he said they were actually investigating those.
Yeah, well, they're also investigating Bigfoot, I'm sure, so it's in the same office.
I say largely because I don't believe him.
Yeah, I don't believe him either. It's a bunch of nonsense.
I have yet to see a left-wing group listed as violent extremism.
Other than like ELF, the Environmental Liberation Front, I think they're the only ones I can think of.
I'm talking about the modern day ones that have any kind of following at all. You know, like Antifa.
No, it's not happening.
So it really covers a wide spectrum, and what they all have in common is three things: violence or threats of violence, motivated by some ideology, and it varies, in violation of federal criminal law. And that's the domestic violent extremism that I'm talking about when I've identified this phenomenon.
So when you were looking at those parents at the school board meetings, what federal law were they breaking?
The law of how dare you question us?
No, we're not partisan at all. We just stopped the terrorists and the Chinese from. I still can't get over the Chinese First Amendment thing. That's fucking retard.
No, but he's going after Catholics, which are protected by the First Amendment. So he's a bit of a hypocrite.
And we've mentioned that several times. It will come up in more detail right after Googly Eye's done, because Jim Jordan goes next.
Oh, nice.
Could I request unanimous consent to enter into the record two letters, both from David Weiss, the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney in Delaware, rebutting allegations concerning partiality in the investigation of the Hunter Biden case? I thank you. Thank you, Director.
Without objection. Director, what's the difference between a traditional Catholic and a radical traditional Catholic?
I'm not an expert on the Catholic orders.
Well, your FBI wrote a memo talking about radical traditional Catholics. I'm just wondering if you could define it for us.
Real quick, thank you, Keldrick, who says the FBI is on a spectrum. I knew it.
Well, your FBI wrote a memo talking about radical traditional Catholics. I'm just wondering if you could define it for us.
Well, what I can tell you is you're referring to the Richmond product, which was a single product by a single field office, which as soon as I found out about it, I was aghast and ordered it withdrawn and removed from FBI systems.
Yeah, right.
Was anybody fired over it?
Of course not. Nobody ever gets fired from the feds. At most, they get a little slap on the hand and be like, knock it off. Stop getting us noticed.
You had somebody who wrote a memo that made you aghast. What happened to him? Don't worry, he's not going to answer anything about that.
You were aghast, and why won't you let us talk to the people who put it together?
We are working on finishing an internal review into what happened.
We have to wait.
An internal review into what happened there.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. Stall tactic to destroy evidence.
Somebody wrote a memo. Their field supervisor approved it, and it was sent out. That's what happened there.
Yep.
What kind of fucking investigation do you need?
They need to have time to destroy evidence. That's the only thing it could be. Because otherwise it looks like a cover-up. What are you hiding?
We, the Congress, and the American people have to wait until you do an internal review. It's not a criminal investigation going on here. An internal review before we can talk to the people who wrote this.
When we finish our internal review, which will be very soon, we will come back
Any idea how
before
many
the
Catholics
committee
in America?
to provide a briefing on what we found.
Okay, did you hear what was asked right there? Jim Jordan asked, why can't we talk to those people? And he said, when we finish our review, we'll come back up here and give you guys a summary of what we found.
A summary. No evidence, no complete record. No, just we'll sum it up for you. You're not worth our time.
Not the person who did it. You can't talk to him.
No, fuck
reasons.
No. We're promoting him.
Well, we appreciate the briefing, but we want to talk to the people who wrote it. Any idea how many Catholics there are in America, Director?
No, sir.
There's a lot, over 60 million. What percentage of those are radical traditional Catholics, according to the Richmond Field Office of the FBI?
Again, that product is not something that I will defend or excuse. It's something that I thought was appalling and removed.
Let's read from that product, page 4 of that product. By the way, the copy you gave us, when can we get a copy that didn't have all these redactions on it so we can actually see what the American taxpayers were paying for to see their rights, their First Amendment religious liberty rights attacked? Let me just read from.
Why in the hell would you need to redact that thing that went out to the entire FBI?
Yeah, you'd think that if there were honest FBI agents, they'd be able to provide a copy unredacted to them through the whistleblower thing, but we all know that won't happen.
I don't understand why it would be redacted at all.
They're trying to hide the agent's name and probably some other stuff like sources and methods of how they're spying on the Catholics.
Okay, and you know what? If they did like, okay, we're redacting this person's name, fair enough, but it was written by them, so the only thing that would need redacted is at the top. Because it's not like they're going to talk about themselves in third person as they wrote the fucking thing, right?
I rule nothing out at this point.
Okay, probably not.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, Jim Jordan said that this was a bad thing, and Jim Jordan knows what he's talking about because Jim Jordan does a whole lot of it. It's not going to be written like that. So the only reason to redact anything else in there is if you have some confidential agents in places that they shouldn't be.
Yep. They've probably got some people inside various Catholic organizations like that Patriot Moms or whatever it's called that's constantly in trouble.
Oh, Moms for Liberty. Is that what it is?
something like that.
Yeah.
Or so, some Catholic group like that that's out being political. I would be willing to bet they've got agents deeply embedded in some of those organizations, just like they did with the hippie groups in the 70s and 60s.
Well, hold that thought.
Page 4, provide new opportunities to mitigate extremist threat through outreach to traditional Catholic parishes and the development of sources with the placement and access to report on places of worship. That's pretty fancy language for they're trying to put informants in the parish, in the church.
Look how bored Ray looks. Like, this is beneath me.
He is talking about the FBI spying on churches.
Yeah.
By putting some of their dirty little bastards, like they had at January 6th, into Catholic churches.
You know who else did stuff like this? Stalin.
God damn.
Yeah. And Ray is treating this like it's an inconvenience. Like,
Yeah.
So what? We did that. Who cares? I already said I didn't approve of it. Blah, blah, blah. Because we got caught. So leave me alone. I don't care to address this because I've already dealt with this internally. No, you can't know about it. And you just have to trust me, bro.
Dude, if you are good at your job here, which he's absolutely not, and we'll get to that later, your answer to his questions here is, I fired that motherfucker that day.
Yeah, but he didn't. And we all
Nope.
know he didn't.
And even more important, he's not going to.
Yeah.
That's what this memorandum said, Director, from one of your field offices. And you won't let us talk to the people who did it. Any response to that?
I didn't know. I was waiting for the question.
No, priest. You think priests should be informants inside the church, Director?
We do not recruit, open, or operate confidential human sources to infiltrate, target, report.
But that's not
on
what this.
religious
That's not what this
organizations?
said. It sounds like you were trying to do it in Richmond, Virginia.
No, sir.
Okay. Jack, even if it's not his policy to do it, right? It's somebody's fucking policy to do it.
Yeah, it's his organization. He's ultimately responsible for what his people do.
Number one, that's a good point too. An office he's visited at least twice, according to his opening testimony.
Yeah.
Because he'd been to all the field offices at least twice. And it's in Richmond, so he's probably been there many times. Quantico's not that far from Richmond.
Sir. No,
You
sir.
weren't. This didn't happen. You can assure us that this didn't happen.
That product did not, to as best as we can tell, result in any investigative action as a result of it. None.
You know
Yeah,
what
how
the
many times
motivation
have they
for this
lied to
was?
us about stuff like that?
Right? Oh, wait, hey, Jack, they never lie. They're the FBI.
Yeah.
They are good and decent people who just want to serve their country.
Yeah. What's their country? China?
Dead Rabbit says, do you run the FBI or not, Ray? We'll get to that too. And the answer is absolutely fucking not.
Why would they even think about doing this? You know what the motivation was?
Well, again, I think that's what our internal review will find, and I'd rather wait until I hear what.
All you got to do is ask the guy, why did you write this? That's the internal review right there. Why did you write it? We got an internal review to do, and yeah, we just can't figure. It's like trying to find the pipe bomber, man. It's really hard.
Yeah, it takes a while to scrub all those servers of all the communication this person has had, so
Do
that
you
we
know how
can make
many-
them look like just an incompetent boob who needs retrained.
Do you know how many emails we have to delete right now?
Yeah.
What the results of that internal.
Well, I don't need an
review are.
internal review. I can read the document.
Or what you could do is make that person available to come before Congress and answer the questions so that they can just ask him, since you can't.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't want to.
Or, if I'm being honest, how much you want to bet it was a chick?
Oh, it probably was, but wouldn't surprise me either way.
With blue hair.
Tim, you can do the same because it says right there on the same page. Richmond assesses extremist interest in radical traditional Catholics is likely to increase over the next 12 to 24 months in the run-up to the next general election. Same paragraph. Events in which extremists and radical traditional Catholics might have common cause include legislation, judicial decisions in such areas as abortion rights, immigration, affirmative action, and LGBTQ protections. It's politics. That's the motivation. In the run-up to the next election, and they talk about.
And to be more precise about politics, Jack, this is why I say blue hair. Going after the Catholic Church specifically, there's one group of how do I put this? Alphabet soup that it has really focused in on them lately.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frosty Glass. Internal review if Nazis ran the Nuremberg trials.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. By the way, dude, I know we're running long, so if you get tired or anything, just let me know.
I'm fine.
All right, cool. A chick monkey, it's they, them. You know what, Wicked? You are 100% correct. I apologize.
Yeah, a chick that claims they, them. Yeah.
It's a chick with a penis who steals luggage and has a mustache that looks like a creepy porn stash.
Yeah.
The
Probably
border
has like
affirmative
Moe's haircut.
action and abortion rights. It's total politics. I mean, I think it's interesting that affirmative, we just got a decision from a bunch of Catholics who sit on the United States Supreme Court relative to affirmative action. Politics was the total motivation here.
Yep.
And that's what's scary.
And this is the stuff that they try to just sweep under the rug. It is important that this was Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of the Christian faith who've been like, abortion's not so bad. We don't like it, but hardline Catholics, abortion is no. It's still no. They're getting there, man. The new pope, he'll have them, aborting in the confessionals before too long. But
oh yeah,
they're the ones that's hardline no. Notice they didn't like go after any mosques.
Oh, why would they want to do that? That's just where the splody people are.
That's what's, I think, so frightening, and how this happens. I don't know. And 5 people signed off on it. 5 people, including the Chief Division Counsel at the Richmond field office.
This is what I told you guys earlier. The Richmond office is dirty as fuck.
I'd like to talk to this lawyer. And a lot of people in this room went to law school to get a course on the Constitution.
Yeah, a lawyer at the FBI signed off on putting informants in church. And,
well, you got to keep an eye on those sinister believers, those Easter worshipers.
Yeah, and there's no evidence that the church was out there gonna bomb something, because this is the Catholic Church in general. Any Catholic churches.
Yep.
Those damn Catholics in there not killing babies. It's violent.
Yeah, it's violent to not want to murder children, apparently.
It's terrorism, I tell you.
Constitution talks about the First Amendment. I find that really scary.
Yep.
Again, when do you think we're going to have a chance? How soon are you going to complete this internal investigation so we can talk to these folks who put this together?
I expect us to be able to brief the committee on our internal review later this summer.
Will that briefing include
Later this summer?
That takes a long time to wipe all the emails.
All you have to do, apparently, because 5 people signed off on it. So you have the person who wrote it and 5 other people. You have to ask 6 people, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah,
why did you do this?
This should be done in an afternoon.
Yes.
include the names of the individuals who put this document together attacking Americans' First Amendment liberty?
I'm not sure yet what it'll include because it's not done yet, but when it is, we'll provide you with an appropriate briefing.
What do you
Will you include the names of everybody involved who did it? Oh, I can't say for sure. Maybe.
It'll have what we deem to be appropriate.
Could be.
All you people need to know, you plebs.
you doing to fix it so this doesn't happen again?
Well, we've already started putting in place a number of fixes, and those will be further informed by the results of the
What are
review.
those fixes? More training, more things, more. That's the same
What
thing
is
you
it?
told us on FISA. And while you may have some improvement, you still got 204,000 times the database was illegally searched. So what are the training and procedures you're putting in place?
Well, I'll put the FISA stuff to the side.
Oh, I'm just using that as an example of where you've told us the same thing, you fix something and you haven't.
I do not believe the number that you just invoked on the FISA side is since the reforms.
That's not what he's asking you. He said you told us that there was going to be reforms for that. What reforms are you doing here? And this motherfucker, see, this is Jim Jordan's fault here.
Yeah.
What he should have done, just hung to the point, because he gave him an out right here. Because now he can talk about something else. Just answer the goddamn question.
Fixes, as you called them.
Can we get an unredacted?
Those post-date the numbers that you're referring to.
Director, can we get an unredacted copy while you're still doing this internal invest? Can we at least get an unredacted copy of this memorandum?
I will find out if there's more of the document that can be shared with you. We've tried to be very.
That's a no. He said, specifically asked, can we get an unredacted copy? They said, we'll see if we can share more information.
Why is it redacted? See, guys, I know we've talked about this before, but so much of our government bullshit is redacted for no fucking reason.
No, it's 'cause they don't want to get in trouble, so they can hide stuff.
Yep. We should be able to read everything, and not just the committee, Jack. That shit should have been released to us, to release the entire thing and read it.
Well,
this is what
they're not gonna do it.
Yeah, this is what those great FBI guys are doing as they're, sitting around with their thumb up their butt.
Oh, they're
Very
super
careful in what we
patriotic.
redact.
Monkey.
Oh, I forgot about that part. Damn it.
And there's always a basis for it. So let me go back and see if there's more that we.
There's always a basis for redaction. Kiss my ass.
Yeah, they don't want you to see what they're up to.
No, see, and yeah, there's a lot of that, Jack, but a lot of it is just nonsensical. They redact it because they can.
Yeah, well, they're assholes. Bunch of fucking liars.
Can provide, but I know my instructions are to be as sparing as possible in the redactions that we provide.
Liar.
Gentleman from California is recognized.
Director.
It's now time for Mr. Swalwell. I'm just doing this because I think the guy's an asshole and I think it's funny to listen to him.
Yeah, he's retarded.
I think it's quite rich that the guy that has accused you of lawlessness and weaponization is 400 days into violation of his own congressional subpoena over January 6th. Quite rich to me that you're hearing all of these allegations from somebody who won't even respond to a lawful subpoena.
All right. Let's for a moment take him at face value. Jim Jordan, he got a subpoena. He won't go answer it. All right. Fair enough. We're talking about the head of the FBI who is abusing his fucking power, you shitbag. Jim Jordan does not have the power to put me in jail, Jack. You know who does?
Christopher Wray.
Christopher Wray, this fucker on screen. And he can do it because I had the wrong fucking opinion.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm not Catholic, nor do I go to church. So at least I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, this time. But they'll find something if they want. If they want to put you in jail, they'll put you in jail. They'll find a reason later. And they'll publicly embarrass you and humiliate you and destroy your life. And then they'll laugh about it because they think it's funny.
And this fucking asshole to get up there and compare those two like I think it's really ironic. It's one, that's not irony, you fucking shitbag. But two, what does that have to do with anything?
Doesn't have anything to do with anything. And they know that. The Democrats are just sucking up to him because these are the brown shirts.
It's
this
a
is
straw
their
man.
personal Stasi.
Yep.
But I want to talk more about your workforce because that's where you started. A couple weeks ago at the Bureau, you had Family Day. Can you tell us what Family Day is?
Family Day is an opportunity for employees from really all over the FBI. Tends to be primarily from the nearby geographies because of the trip that they have to make to employees to bring their families into FBI headquarters so that they can see a little bit about the place their loved ones work and why mom or dad is spending so much time away from home.
That we fingerprint them and microchip them so that we can keep track of them.
With all that's going on with the FBI, this asshole is asking about Family Day.
Yep. Trying to make them sympathetic. Like, look what good family people they are.
Oh, yeah, it's exactly what he's doing.
You see any little kids at Family Day?
Many, many, many. It's an opportunity for us to say thank you to the families. We talk a lot in law enforcement about sacrifice, but the reality is that law enforcement officers and professionals are sacrificing to do what they love our families are sacrificing because of who they love.
And what would you say, in your experience, is the number one worry of a little kid about a mom or dad who was a special agent out in the field?
Are you shitting me? What do the little kids worry about when they go to sleep? That's where Toots is going. That's what he is spending his 5 minutes asking about.
Obviously, they're worried that their mom or dad won't come home at night because they've been killed. And that, in fact, has happened, unfortunately, all
Happened in
too
Fort
often.
Lauderdale a couple years ago. Is that right?
Laura Schwarzenberger and Dan Alphen, two of our agents killed in a connection with a child exploitation case down there.
Were they the ones exploiting the child?
Have there ever been times when innocent people haven't got to go home to their families because of the FBI?
Yeah. Let's ask about Randy Weaver's wife.
It was the single darkest day I've had in this job.
I want to turn your attention.
Can I just point out there, Jack, and I'm not discounting those two officers' lives, but that was several years ago. That wasn't last week or anything. And my point here is just being that they're trying to make it sound like the FBI is this horribly dangerous job. When it comes to law enforcement, it's actually one of the most secure, safe ones.
Yeah, because they really don't go out in the field a whole lot. They're not like beat cops that are going out every day.
Yeah.
Coming face to face with, gangbangers and thugs.
Or even, as I pointed out earlier, a traffic cop, most of the traffic stops in my area, Jack, happen on a highway.
Yeah. Oh, traffic stops are almost as dangerous as domestics.
Yeah, because fucking assholes will hit police officers.
Yeah. Real quick. Thank you, Keldrick. Yes, we sacrificed many children on Family Day. Yeah, mostly to Moloch.
Frost said, Director Wray, what's it like being such a terrific guy? Eric Swalwell. Indeed.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Ron Corpse.
Have a good one, Ron.
It's run by a former Trump aide named Garrett Ziegler. Over the past couple weeks, he has doxed the addresses of a former special agent connected to the Hunter Biden case. He has put up the dates of birth and pictures of two current special agents who work for you. He has said the name, which I will not say, of an assistant U.S. attorney who worked in the Hunter Biden case.
You mean publicly available information that the news media covers?
You won't say the name of an assistant U.S. attorney?
He doesn't want to dead name him.
Look, doxing, you know how we feel about that around here, guys. Fuck you, don't do it. But we're talking about people who this is public.
Yeah, they're in the public eye. They go out and do public stuff. This is not secret information.
That she will answer for her crimes. He will focus everything on her. Justice will be done. It's out of my hands, but she will answer. Do these types of threats and doxing concern you about threats to your workforce and what it could mean?
Well, doxing is not illegal federally. There are some states moving to do it, Jack, but you do kind of run into a freedom of speech thing. I'm not okay with that. I don't think you should be able to do it. But if this person is writing horrible shit like that, making actual threats, charge them. You're the FBI, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, you trump up charges on people all the time.
Well, obviously, what we're most concerned about are the actual acts of violence, which themselves have happened, and as we just discussed. But this kind of
from several
violence
years,
like communion wafers.
Wait. Because we were told that the threats popped up after Mar-a-Lago. How long ago was that? That was in January, right?
Maybe.
And in order to point out to your actual violence, you got to go back several years to a child exploitation investigation. Not somebody being doxxed. Not somebody saying, hey, this asshole was involved in the Hunter case.
Real quick. Thank you, Evolved Potato. Well, the biggest worry for a special agent is being caught on camera because they might get caught breaking the law by violating the peasants' civil rights. Oh, did I say peasants? I meant citizens.
the
No, I think
people.
you were right the first time. Thank you, Evolved. You're absolutely correct.
Yep.
Phenomenon doxing is itself hugely problematic because the more information, personalized information about law enforcement professionals that are out in the internet, the more people who may be unstable or inclined to violence there are out there who can choose to act on it. And we're seeing that
people
also.
might hold us accountable. Wait, weren't they buying information on us?
Yeah, exactly. And apparently there's no unstable people in the FBI.
Yeah, like Strzok.
These
They're all-
fucking people.
None of them have agendas. Look, we have a right to know who works for us.
Yes.
You don't like that? Fuck you. This is America. This is not China, as much as everybody seems to want us to be.
Too often. The number of officers across law enforcement killed in the line of duty has been up alarmingly over the last few years.
Is there an actual fuck you. One, Jack, we've talked about police being killed in the line of duty. They rarely care about it, but suddenly he cares. But notice what he said, across law enforcement, because it's not in the FBI, first of all.
Yeah.
But second of all, do you have any link to actual doxing that caused this problem?
No, they can't prove any of it did.
Because it's so rare. What actually tends to happen is people just strolling up on police or getting busted during a crime.
Yeah, there's a gunfight during a traffic stop or a drug bust. That's usually how it happens. It's very, very rare that somebody is looking up the addresses of cops and hunting them down.
Yeah.
And it sure as shit isn't happening with the FBI. Why? Because everybody's scared of the fucking FBI. It's ridiculous. You know who it did happen to, though, is Kavanaugh.
Oh, yeah,
but we don't
absolutely.
talk about that.
Know that because one of the things I committed to doing early in my tenure was every time an officer anywhere in the country is shot and killed in the line of duty, I was going to personally call that sheriff or that chief and on behalf of the FBI express our support and condolences and relay that to the family.
Okay.
What's that doing to actually stop the violence? Oh yeah, nothing.
I look, good on him for doing that, I guess. It doesn't mean shit, but okay. I committed to calling people when police are shot.
Yeah, I committed to like saying nice things. That's good, I guess, but it really doesn't accomplish anything. What are you doing to offer support? Like,
Jack,
we need help tracking this person down.
You ever work somewhere where they have like bring your daughter to work day, or now it's bring your kid to work day?
Yeah.
And I don't know about where you've been at, but when I've been there, including when I brought my own daughter, you let the kids, kind of play along and do a little bit of the work you do. Not much, because you don't want them to get hurt. You don't want any OSHA violations and have Christopher Wray come after you.
Out there driving forklift and shit.
Do you think Ray had a kid call some sheriff and be like, "Sorry about your dead officer"?
It wouldn't surprise me. They care so little about the irrelevant people. Real fast. Thank you, Circus Zero. Remind me again what they did about people post U.S. Supreme Court judges' addresses again. Exactly my point. They didn't do a goddamn thing. But it's a big deal if somebody does it to an FBI agent.
Yep.
These people are total scumbags.
We have done that now close to 400 times since I've been in this job.
Thank you for doing that. And you don't only do that, you send your SACs, your special agents in charge, to their funerals as well. And I've seen that.
Okay.
Complete waste of money.
I'm not opposed to it, right? But I'm also not understanding what the fuck that has to do with anything.
Doesn't have anything to do with anything. They're trying to build sympathy for the feds. These people are scumbags. They're violating our rights constantly and arresting innocent people and investigating innocent people over nothing. And you're trying to make me feel sympathy for them for what? They went to a funeral? First of all, they don't know the officer. They never worked with them. It's a waste of money. Why don't you work on arresting Epstein's client list, you fucking sacks of shit?
How? this is their chance to tell what they do with the FBI. And what have we been told? They have family day and go to funerals of people they have no connection to.
Yeah, so they waste a lot of time and money.
Eric, how about asking about criminal investigations? How many crimes they've stopped? If you're going to try to make them seem like they're worth a fuck, that would be where I would go. But like we know, this is just to try to make them humanized, so you're not allowed to ask questions.
Yep. And coming from the guy that banged a Chinese spy, not exactly helping their image.
Yeah, now he's on the judiciary instead of intelligence. Aw, poor Eric.
Fuck him.
I agree.
Chairman, I've counted in this hearing, and we're only about an hour and a half in, the use of the word laptop about 20 times. In fact, in the chairman's opening statement, he said that he's upset that he believes the FBI prevented more Americans from learning about a private citizen's laptop.
You lying piece of shit.
Yeah, that is very disingenuous.
I'm pretty sure we skipped it, but maybe we haven't yet. There's one of the Democratic women who just keeps mentioning naked pictures. Nobody gives a fuck about the naked pictures. It's just embarrassing to Hunter, which is funny.
Yeah.
There is stuff on that laptop that implicates the vice president of the United States of selling influence.
That's your hate facts, man.
That is not a private citizen matter. And he says there, like, he says that people didn't get to see it. We know from polling, you fucking piece of shit, that they didn't. And many of them would have voted differently if they had.
Because everybody was told that it was Russian disinfo. So why would they look into it? Also, real fast, thank you, Frosted Glass. FBI, bring your children to work day. All right, little Timmy, now go over there and yell, tomorrow we have to go into the Capitol. Then we could get ice cream. Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, God.
That is bananas to me. You all are bringing up FISA every single question.
You're talking about illegally spying on Americans, you twat. The way he just dismisses it.
Yep.
You're essentially saying to the American people that you're guardians of personal security and privacy.
Christopher Wray is not my personal guardian of anything.
Bodyguard of lies, maybe.
The way he just said that. Oh, you fucking asshole.
Saying to the American people that you're guardians of personal security and privacy, but the 2020 election was determined because the FBI didn't let more Americans see a private citizen's non-consensual nudes.
His non-consensual nudes? Those were consensual nudes. How do we know that? He had them on his laptop.
Well, also, they're not his anymore. The
No.
laptop is owned by that computer repair guy.
His non-consensual nudes? You fucking piece of shit. I hate this man.
Yeah, well, I mean, the real lesson here is to pay your computer repair guy for the work.
No shit. And don't do drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be an addict.
Is that what we're saying here?
No.
That you lost the election not because of your ideas.
I'm going to keep beating this drum because the polls have been done, Jack. The polls have shown many people, enough to sway the election, have said if they knew about the laptop, they would have voted differently. Is that what you're saying? Yes.
But because a private citizen's laptop
Do you want an answer? Will you
wasn't
yield?
out there,
Will you yield?
that's bananas.
That's bananas.
Like, you should be a party of ideas.
You know what? That would be bananas. But
BANANAS.
But that's not what happened.
Not a party of non-consensual nudes to help you win an election.
Will you yield for an answer?
Like, that is what the objection is here today. We should be talking about the mass shootings that occurred over the
All right, stop right there. We should be talking about the mass shootings that occurred. Jack, what was his opening question?
I don't remember. It was a while ago.
It was Family Day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then his follow-up was about police shootings. Not mass shootings. We should be talking about that. I'm not gonna, but we should be talking about that.
The last 10 days,
Time
instead,
of the
this hearing has turned into absolute chaos. And I yield back.
time of the gentleman's expired. We bring up FISA because it's up for reauthorization. If the gentleman didn't know, at the end of this year, and it was in our witness's opening statement. I didn't bring up the laptop.
Whose time are you speaking? Whose time are you speaking to, Chairman?
The judge last
Point of order.
week on
Whose
July 4th.
time are you speaking?
Chairman, point of order. Whose time are you speaking on?
I'm speaking on, I'm not a point of order, and I recognize the gentleman from Arizona.
I don't recognize either of you idiots. Do whatever I want. I'm chairman here. Fuck off.
All right.
They both do the same thing. Nadler did that all the time when he was chairman.
Yep. All right. After this, who is this that we have next? This is Biggs. Jack, should we wrap up?
That's up to you.
I still need to do a game stream, so I think we're gonna wrap up, which means we got to skip Teddy Lou. And
we could do a two-parter and do some more tomorrow.
Okay, but I do want to get to Chip Roy, I believe is his name.
Yeah, I like Chip Roy.
Chip Roy, most of what he talked, we'll get to it. It's let's see, 252. I have to go to the other one so I can see who's talking at what point. All right, I think right there should be good.
House lawyer reached out and said he would appear voluntarily.
Oh wait, hang on. We got to back it up just a couple of seconds so we get to the beginning. I got to wait till Ray's face turns to the other side. Where did that chick stop? Okay. Oh, we'll just pick it up from right here.
The place has had the biggest impact on us is certainly on the additional checks that now would be run for the 18 to 20-year-olds.
Nobody cares. Shut up.
And we started implementing.
Shut up.
And
Shut up.
these that are on the receiving end,
Shut up.
both the big store, 100,000, 20.
This is important. We'll watch it tomorrow.
But there were
Him out of.
Thank you, Director Wray, for appearing. Brian Auten was one of the FBI intelligence analysts who interviewed Igor Danchenko, the principal source of the Steele dossier, in January 2017, correct?
I believe that's in the Durham report.
And Danchenko explained that the dossier allegations were BS, yet the FBI did not reveal that to the FISA court. Instead, the FBI continued to use those allegations in two more sworn FISA applications about President Trump and Putin, correct?
Well, again, I want to let Mr. Durham's report speak for itself.
Okay, but as director.
Yes. And of all of that, what happened? One lawyer got a smack on the hand.
Yeah, and he's back practicing law.
And
already.
working for the FBI.
Yeah.
Of the FBI. Those are the facts of the FBI under your watch. The FBI conducted.
No, sir. I'm sorry. It's important. Not under my watch. Those are the facts.
I'm getting to the part under your watch. Okay. The FBI conducted an internal investigation of Auten and sought to suspend him, but Auten appealed, correct?
I can't discuss specific,
Yes, you can.
Specific pending personnel matter.
Okay, well, according to recent reports, those are the facts. Nevertheless, in 2020, after Senators Grassley and Johnson highlighted evidence of potential financial crimes and corruption against the Biden family, the FBI assigned Auten to compile an assessment which was used to characterize the Biden revelations as Russian disinformation. The evidence Grassley and Johnson had collected were mostly financial records and could easily have been corroborated as authentic. And by then, the FBI had the Hunter laptop in its possession.
JMK says, it's your watch. Oh, hang on. Just wait.
For over a year. So it knew the lucrative payments of the Bidens from corrupt and anti-American regimes were authentic. How on earth?
And I want to pause there just to point out again, because he just mentioned they knew that because of the laptop. Non-consensual nudes. The nudes are irrelevant. But the Democrats will never bring up what's actually in the laptop.
No, why would they want to do that?
Look, by all means, point and laugh at Hunter for the pictures. He deserves it. But never lose sight of what else was in there.
Did the FBI empower an agent under investigation for potentially corrupt performance and abuse of FISA? In one politically fraught investigation, a Democrat operative-driven case against President Trump, to play a key role and to undermine a second politically fraught investigation, a case against the Bidens. How's that possible? How can you allow that to occur in the Federal Bureau of Investigation, as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle say, the elite law enforcement agency of the United States? How does that occur?
I can't, at the moment, discuss a pending personnel matter.
He didn't ask you about the pending personnel matter. He asked you how a fucking guy under investigation for corruption was allowed to be put on a politically fraught case when the corruption was from a politically fraught case against a Republican. And now you put him on the Democratic side to investigate a Democrat. How did that happen? What he's asking you is, how the fuck are you this bad at your job?
Is he bad at his job, or is he doing exactly what he thinks he's supposed to be doing?
Well, I agree with you, and that's probably the truth of it. But if he, for the purposes of public image, how did this happen?
Yeah, no, this was all intentional. And they don't care because, again, they're not scared of anybody on this panel.
I can tell you that every employee who in any way touched the Crossfire Hurricane matter has been referred to our Office of Professional Responsibility, our
Are
disciplinary
you
arm.
concerned about this activity by the FBI and what was communicated to the FISA court? Does that concern you as the director of the FBI?
I consider the conduct that was described in the Durham report as totally unacceptable and unrepresentative of what I see from the FBI every day, and must never be allowed to happen again.
Yeah, whatever. That's why everybody that was involved got fired, right?
Wait. It happened, but you're like, no, I never see it. Well, that means you're not looking.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see it, or he doesn't think it's a crime.
What they're talking about is Crossfire Hurricane. This is the illegal
Steele dossier,
the illegal wiretapping, all of this nonsense that happened when they were investigating Donald Trump for literally no fucking reason.
No, they were investigating him because they don't like him.
He said that everybody that was involved in Crossfire Hurricane has been referred to our office of don't get caught again, or whatever the fuck he called it. Didn't say any of them were fired.
No, they're not going to be.
And then he says, nobody does bad stuff. That's not, look, I see the FBI. I went to Family Day. Well, you have people illegally going into the FISA database to look up their ex-girlfriends.
Oh, monkey, but they're not criminals because they got families.
Jesus Christ.
And have there been consequences as a result? Is Mr. Auten, has he had consequences?
Well, again, I can't speak to pending personnel matters. As you would perhaps remember from your own time in law enforcement, because we were working closely with Mr. Durham and I assigned agents administrative process to allow his investigation to complete itself. Now that it is complete, our personnel processes are very much ongoing.
Well, I think it is.
How long ago was the Durham report released?
It's been several months at least.
They got 38,000 agents. Why is everything at the FBI so slow?
Bureaucracy. They always take their time, drag things out, especially as like internal stuff. Because if you don't want to fire somebody, you need time to find a reason not to fire them.
More than troubling that under your watch, we see that this continued to occur, and you have Auten being continued to be empowered after there was an investigation and after there was an effort by the FBI to look into why he would go to the FISA court and give wrong information. I mean, the issue here has been wrapped up in a cloud of politics. But the fact is, the American people deserve to know how the FISA court is being abused and how it's being abused against the former president and against them.
We're not even at the bad
in light
part
of the
yet.
reports that we saw Mr. Johnson from Louisiana put forward that was in a court filing and a court report. I want to move on to another topic. On September 23rd, 2022, 20 heavily armed agents stormed the home of Mark Houck. You're familiar with this?
I'm familiar with the Houck case a little bit, yes.
And this was after Mr. Houck's lawyer reached out and said he would appear voluntarily because the incident in question occurred almost in a year earlier in October of 2021, so a year earlier. And the question here I have, local authorities investigated the incident but concluded there was no case. After the jury met for roughly an hour, Houck was acquitted. How on earth did Mark Houck end up having the FBI send several armed agents along with local authorities to arrest him at gunpoint? And do you approve it? Did you approve of that?
Well, let me start where you ended. Decisions about the manner of an arrest are not something that the FBI director approves. I defer to and rely on the judgment of the experienced career agents on the ground who have both the most intimate understanding of the facts and of the training experience to decide how best to effectuate an arrest.
Do you know
safely.
who did order it?
And my understanding is that that arrest was conducted in our Philadelphia division by career agents with a combined 40 years of FBI experience.
Do you approve of the raid now in retrospect? Do you think it was appropriate? Do you think it was appropriate for a father to have armed
Wait for it.
FBI agents along with local agents go to his home, arrest him at gunpoint for alleged violation of the FACE Act a year after the alleged incident, after the father had said through his lawyer that he would appear voluntarily? Do you believe that FBI agents should go to the home of a father in Philadelphia suburbs?
I'm not going to second guess the judgment of the career agents on the ground who made the determination.
I'm sorry, what'd you just say? I am not going. You are the fucking director of the FBI. You are their boss. It is entirely your job to second guess what they do.
Nah, he just trusts them. Yeah, it's fine. They're doing okay.
He just told us. That's why I said, wait, just wait for it a little while ago, that he's not in charge.
They just kind of do whatever, man.
I am not going to say. That should be a very easy question to answer. Do you approve of it? Yes or no? Especially now that we know all of the circumstances, Jack. And as Roy pointed out there, this guy was acquitted in an hour.
Yeah.
The jury looked at this and went, oh, fuck no. Oh. He just told us, I am not in charge.
But your job is to second guess and look at what they are doing. Your job is to review what they do. Your job is to protect the American people from a tyrannical FBI storming the home of an American family.
I could not disagree more with your description of the FBI as tyrannical.
We're more like, justified.
And
you don't believe it's tyrannical that FBI agents were a part of storming a father's home in suburban Philadelphia?
Mr. Chairman.
Time of the gentleman's expired. The witness may respond, and then we'll move to our next witness.
Sir, respectfully,
member.
They did not storm his house.
Yes, they did. What? They didn't storm his house. Okay, I guess in fairness, they knocked on the door before they busted in.
Yeah, it was more of a blitzkrieg.
How many officers were in there? Like 6?
6 or 9 or something.
For an unarmed man whose crime was pushing somebody who had been yelling at his child.
Yep. That's not even really an FBI matter. I'm sorry.
And their justification for it was the FACE Act. This is the federal act that protects abortion clinics. And there's a certain distance you have to keep from them, and certain things you can't do right in front of them. And they're like, this guy got away with it for a year. We're going to get that bastard.
Yeah, look, he messed up the ritual to Moloch for those sacrificial dead babies. So, yeah, of course the FBI went and kicked their doors, and that's what they do. They don't give a fuck about your rights.
I'm guessing it wasn't a raid either.
Of course not. Of course not. It was it was just a pickup, and they were hoping to intimidate him in front of his kids, maybe make the kids cry and scar them for life. If they were real lucky, maybe there would be a gun battle where they thought they saw a gun and they get to waste some of his kids because these people are fucking scumbags.
Have a good night, Pyrus. Weren't they also yelling at the kids to come down with the fucking guns pointed at them?
Yep.
Because the kids were upstairs. Get out of here, you little bastards. We're going to shoot your dad.
You know how much the FBI hates children after the Ruby Ridge thing in Waco. They really like shooting kids, man. The FBI protects dead baby factories at Planned Parenthood, and they're also itching to get some in the field. Oh, yeah, and the dogs, too, Frost.
And the dogs.
They'll get your little dog, too. Thank you, Dark Resurrect, for that feminist donation. That right there should be grounds for termination, dereliction of duty. Yep, it should be, but we can't seem to fire any of these ass clowns.
This entire line of questioning should be enough to get this motherfucker kicked out of his job. Because he doesn't know anything. And he
doesn't know anything, and he justifies bad behavior. This is like hazing rituals at a college. They crack down harder on hazing than they do on the civil rights violations that the FBI does.
I cannot imagine. Let's go back to when I worked at Walmart. Going to my boss because he comes to me and goes, "Why did your worker fuck that all up?" I mean, hey, I am not going to question what they did. I would have been fired, man.
Yeah, I trust their judgment.
I would have been demoted for not doing my goddamn job. My job was supervising them. Look, it's okay to say, yeah, they fucked up.
No, because then he'd have to dish out consequences. So he's going to deflect all day long. This is fucking evil. These people are completely un-American. I'm sorry. This is the most un-American, tyrannical bullshit I've heard in a very, very long time. These people are all fucking corrupt. I don't trust anybody at the FBI. This actually lowered my trust in anybody in the FBI.
We saw earlier when he's being asked about the Catholic memo. Again, he never says that I was aghast. But did he ever say, yeah, they never should have done that? I was aghast.
I think he was aghast because they actually wrote it down, and it's generally just a spoken policy.
Right. Just get him in there. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Like we did on January 6th.
Yeah, exactly.
I forget who did the January 6th questioning because there's a really good questioning of that in here. Where he does say that Ray Epps was not an agent.
He doesn't have to be an agent. He could be an asset or an informant.
And then he's asked whether or not he had agents on the ground that day. And he just refuses to answer.
Of course he does.
And he's asked how many FBI assets were in the crowd. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Yeah, see, I maintain that because the war on terror is winding down, they want to justify that budget. So they're going after American citizens, and they don't care whose rights they have to violate because it justifies their budget.
Wicked says he's protecting abortion clinics for the children. Duh. Right?
Yeah.
You're fair.
Yeah, the children they're sacrificing to Satan.
They came to his door. They knocked on his door and identified themselves. They asked him to exit. He did without incident.
At gunpoint.
Whenever our agents, well, not at gunpoint, whenever our agents conduct an arrest, they're armed. Our agents are armed virtually all the time, as you may remember from your own experience as a prosecutor.
The gentleman who's back, the ranking member has a unanimous consent request.
All right. I just want to pause there because I need to look that up. What's that guy's name? Dad arrested for scuffle. That's a good word. Outside abortion clinic.
Whoops. Don't type Abo Clinic. You get a whole bunch of Australian stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, damn. I would have to find his name.
It's Chris something, isn't it?
I'm sure it is. Oh, this is a story about it. I should be able to find his actual name here. Why don't you have pictures of it? You're talking about it, for God's sake. I mean, we had the video. There's video.
Mark Houck.
Mark Houck.
Houck.
You said Chris something, so I went right over the Mark Houck number or name up here.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You should know that by now.
I blame you.
How long we been doing this show?
I'm gonna make a report and redact it all. Da, 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 da. Man, why is it so hard to? That should be the first video that comes up.
Not when they're suppressing it to defend the FBI based on the FBI's request to suppress it.
I wonder if we can find just still images of that. The only still image I can find is outside the house. How's that the only one when there was fucking video? Ah, fuck it. All right, we'll have to do that another time. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher Wray, the head of your FBI, if you're in the United States with us. Poor bastards. Basically telling us he's not in charge of the FBI.
For native, it wasn't at gunpoint, it was gun wafting.
Yeah, the guns were pointed down a little bit. All right, fair enough. It wasn't at direct gunpoint, you know, except for when they had him against the wall.
And they had the guns pointed right at him. That was just the general vicinity, man. It was just a narrow vicinity.
My finger wasn't on the trigger. Yeah, when I heard that part, Jack, I seriously, my brain just went, I don't even know what to say. How is the supervisor? Do you say? You could say something like, they made their decision, and while I disagree with it, I stand by them because you're allowed to make mistakes, or something like that. You could have answered that question without, I don't second guess these guys. So then what's to stop them from doing anything that they want to? Like, you know, invading the Catholic Church. Now, I just want to point out that those are two different offices. The one that did the raid on the house was in Philadelphia. The other one is in Richmond. There's only, what do you say, 52 field offices?
Sounds right.
So at least two of them you have no control over. Why? I would be firing people. He told us that his team that he put together is the best team ever. It's hard to put a team like this together, even though it's the whole FBI is beautiful. But I got this team of leaders. Okay. But they have direct reports too, who report to them, which should be the field offices, right? That should be the next line down. So you're, what do you say, 7, 5, 7? I forget how many people he said was in his group of leaders. One of them is broken, at least. There's a chain of command there that's fucked up.
Or it's working exactly as intended.
Exactly.
Stark said he sent the raid video to DMs.
Let me see. Oh yeah, there's a news article about, or a news story about it. Do we have? There's the video itself. You know, we'll still watch this tomorrow, Jack, because we do need to wrap this one up. Guys, thank you for sitting here and listening to Congress with us. I cannot imagine something that would show you guys are the best audience in the world more than that.
Yeah, no shit.
We appreciate it. And I'm sorry, how long did we go? 3.5 hours? We probably watched an hour and a half worth of video. That's my bad, y'all. It's not. I don't apologize. I just can't be one of those people who just lets video play, Jack. I have things to say.
Yeah, it'll happen.
And luckily, I have a microphone.
Well, that's true. Otherwise, it'd be really weird. You just sit there talking to yourself.
Right? So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for all the donations. You guys are fucking amazing. We really do appreciate it. Jack, anything you want to chill out?
Not today. Thank you all for the donations. You guys are awesome.
I will be over on my game channel here in just a little bit. We're going to get back into 7 Days to Die. I do not even remember where I'm at because I started a new playthrough and I'm only a short bit into the game compared to where I used to be. So come over with me and figure out where the fuck I am. Links are in the description to get to the game channel. It's Ranting Monkey Games. All of our links are down there, including ways to support us financially if you are so inclined, ways to buy yourself something nice, and ways to entertain yourself by watching more of our content. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Jack, thank you so much for joining me.
Always glad to be here.
Everyone, have a wonderful night, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
I don't know what to sing about. We just listened to Congress, and I'm kind of drained. Eric Swalwell's a twat.